Ladies and gentlemen, we are now gathered to induct the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame goes back to 1991. And when I think of 1991, I think of baggy pants, Air Jordans, Suburban Commando even, mullets, flap-top haircuts, and the early origins of Courage to Kill. Courage to Kill has certainly had a well-traveled journey to the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Throughout the upstate New York area, to being the Puerto Rican heavyweight champion, and coming back most recently in the RWA. Most notably, those wars with his brother, John Jackson, put him on the wrestling map. And even those wars led him to movies, rapping, and a 20-year relationship with somebody that he's called a brother throughout all of those wars. And even led him back to the ring one more time this past year in the RWA. All throughout this, C2K morphed from a boy into a man, creating a legacy which cemented his place in history, wrestling history. While certainly one can say C2K might not be the most likely Hall of Famer, but in Sportswire Radio history, he's become one of the most memorable personalities in our 5-year history of Sportswire Radio, and standing up for the term all wrestling matters when there were those that had their things, feelings, and opinions about Sportswire Radio. Courage to Kill said he's got courage to stand up for Sportswire Radio and all wrestling matters. Through the trials and tribulations, C2K most recently, however, has played his most important role yet in his faith, changing his life for the better, turning him from courage to kill to courage to believe. The Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame is about those who believe in themselves and those who can aspire to be something just a little bit better than when they were before they came on to Sportswire Radio, and especially for those who believe in the term all wrestling matters, which throughout his 33-year career in the world of wrestling, again, traveling him all throughout upstate New York and even Puerto Rico and back. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on and on about our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, but I'd now like to officially congratulate the newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and our 39th member and a part of our 4th class, C2K, Courage to Kill, who I'd like to now formally call Courage to Believe. My friend, congratulations on being inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But before I officially give you your congratulations, I like to show you what we do here on Sportswire Radio, especially for those who have now a part of the history books on our website. You can see it here, ladies and gentlemen, officially, our 39th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, with yours truly signature, today's date, his name, and our Sportswire Radio logo. But C2K, before you take your place in history here in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, it's time to give you that introduction that everybody else has gotten. You've gotten it time and time again, and we have to give it to you because, well, we know your brother John Jackson's watching and everybody else here is watching. Now that we're going to talk SmackDown, who knows what else. But as I stated, ladies and gentlemen, I now bring to you the 39th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and a member of our 4th class, Puerto Rican wrestling legend, heavyweight champion in Puerto Rico, multiple-time backyard wrestling champion of the world, rapper, actor, backyard wrestling legend, and now playing his most important role to date yet. A born-again Christian, he is none other than Mr. C2K, Courage to Believe. It's time for you to get that introduction that everybody else has gotten. Our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, as you know, everybody else is watching, even those who don't think you're worthy to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Well, guess what? We're going to certainly make sure that you know it loud and proud that C2K is a proud Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, because we certainly stand up for our brothers who believe in that term, all wrestling matters. So with that, without further ado, here on the Sport Your Boy, number one. Global Sports Show. The 39th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, his name is C2K, a.k.a. Courage to Believe. My friend, congratulations.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, man. You know,
Well, you earned it. You certainly, again, have been one of the more memorable personalities in Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and it's about all wrestling matters, and it's about those that have certainly made their place and made their claims. You've definitely done that through a number of different roles, and I think you're playing your most important role to date with your faith. And before I bring on the rest of the guys to talk some current events, I have to ask, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, and even those that may not think you're worthy of being in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, what does it mean to you to be the 39th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame?
it really means a lot to me. And I really got kind of getting emotional right now because it's like there are 30 years that I have wrestled in my life. I have never been inducted to a Hall of Fame. The hard work that I did since 1991. I have people that didn't believe in me, people that didn't thought that I was gonna make it. A lot of people didn't thought that I was gonna make it to this far. And here I am, inducted in the Hall of Fame, the 39 member in the fourth class, and it's like it's wow, like it's really happening. I'm very happy, and it's like I thank God, and I thank you, and I thank all the fans. I thank all the Sport Wars fans for believing in me and for always be there for me, for being my backbone all this time. Love you guys, and I really appreciate this.
No, we love you. We appreciate the fact that you definitely said the truth. You talked about Sportswire, what it's meant, and you definitely earned this day. And I'm going to bring the guys on in a second to talk some SmackDown and everything else. But definitely when there were certainly people out there that probably put snow up their butts and probably snort a few snow dust or two, you definitely earned this one. But obviously you've been about all wrestling matters, and obviously we think about 1991 Suburban Commando, flat top fades, and mullets, and we think about certainly Air Jordans, but you were there slugging and struggling along there in those legendary wars, of course, with John Jackson, your brother, who led you to movies, led you to some rapping, but also to your most important roles. I'm going to bring the guys on here in a second, but people do want to congratulate you. Your buddy, Mr. Zack Attack, says can't wait. Well, you're here, Ron Franklin. I'm sure we'll hear from Ron during some football at about 11 o'clock. He says, hello, Tom. Yes, and absolutely. And Ethan Sorensen, thank you. We're doing great. We just inducted our brother into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame and also making it official. He's going to join us here after SmackDown, 10 o'clock on Friday nights, C2K in our Hall of Fame. So he's now going to be here each and every week to give his hard-hitting analysis on everything that's going on, WWE, The Rock, and of course, he's wrestled a guy named The Rock, John The Rock Jackson. So there's nobody better to talk about what's going on with The Rock and Roman than a guy that's defeated The Rock, and certainly Mr. C2K. And want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Daniel Banner, who's up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And C2K, it's no longer C2K. It's Courage to Believe. I told you, courage
I love
to
it.
believe.
I love
That's
it.
what it is. Yep. You absolutely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Our buddies who are going to be here next Friday, of course, the IMF, and we're going to be calling our first ever match involving an IMF talent, Freddie Daniels versus Joe Stone, the DKW champion. And of course, Mr. Omen Black wants to give you congratulations because it is Omen Show. So I want to make sure that you certainly get a little hello. It's it's Omen Show. He's the seventh member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
Thank you, my brother. Love you,
If
man.
you don't agree with that, let's go. Also, we will say we'll save the match history for another time, Ethan. But also, my buddy Brad Coleman, who I hear is doing some good things on the near distant future that we're going to talk about next month when he gets inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. And of course, last week in your chair it was Brad Coleman Day, so cannot wait for that. Yes, we'll bring you on down the road, Zach. I don't have a date yet. Obviously, hello to you, Mr. Loose Cannon. I hope that you come back here one day in the ring. We'll see. Definitely C2K, Courage to Believe, will be selling like hotcakes. But, you've taken your place in history. I want to bring the guys on now to talk about all things related to Raw, SmackDown, the streaming deals, and everything else, and The Rock and Roman and who knows what else. And let's bring some of my guys, a couple of Hall of Famers. Let's take this off the screen for now. And we are joined here by, of course, the host of the Be More Talkative podcast. We are also joined here by a man who's driving his way to WrestleMania 40. He is a member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He's our 15th member. He is also a BWA Hall of Fame. He is the real Chris Craven, our coach, and our 14th member of the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He also dabbled in the wrestling world. He is also the host of the Hockey Fan Chat, Randy Dillon. So I got three wrestlers technically, and TBK, who's a podcaster. But guys, how you doing tonight? And what's the good word here from all you guys?
Doing good, man. Can't complain.
Well, you might want to complain about some things that are going on between Raw, SmackDown, streaming situations, who knows what else. But, let's start it off here. And obviously, we've got the news. Everybody, I'm sure, saw the press conference by now. And I'll start off here with Randy Dillon. Randy's been here waiting first. And, Randy, a lot to talk about. We've got Elimination Chamber. Who's going to face off with Seth? And, I mean, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, Randy Dillon, give us your thoughts on what happened at the end of SmackDown and kind of where we go here now between, it looks like Roman and Cody on one side with The Rock. It looks like shoulder to shoulder with Roman. He's going to be here on SmackDown next week with him. And then we'll see who it is with Seth Rollins. So, Randy, give me your thoughts.
Thanks, Tom. First thing, congratulations to C2K. All the hard work in your introduction. Well deserved. Thank you. True inspiration, everything you've gone through. So congratulations there. But Tom, last week we were just like, what the heck's going on? And a week later with everything going on, not to mention the news that happened in Impact with Scott Moore and then the deal with TBS. But we got bamboozled, I think, where the WWE played us thinking, what the heck's going on? We got the Rocky sucks chant going back to 1996. And then yesterday at the press conference, which unbelievable. Listen, if WWE is trying to get their attention off Vince McMahon, it has worked to my belief because they're making this match between Cody and Roman, I think, the biggest main event in WrestleMania history. And I think it's already up there. Like, I can't talk about maybe Warrior versus Hogan because I wasn't around that time, but definitely I think it's bigger than The Rock and John Cena back in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would have said Austin Rock WrestleMania 17 was pretty big. I mean, that was still at the Attitude Era. I would have to throw that in there. I mean, Undertaker, I know TBK is an Undertaker guy, but Undertaker and Shawn didn't close the shows. But we're obviously assuming that Cody and Roman's going to close the show. I think Rock and Cena is a very good comparison. I think Austin Rock's up there. So great points there. We'll come back to you. Coach, I know you're traveling out there getting ready to go to the road to WrestleMania. You're probably driving to Las Vegas right now from where you are. And what do you think about everything that's going on? And just give me your impressions actually then about The Rock and Cody and Roman and were we played here or what?
I think that I said this last night on TBK's show that we recorded last night. It's like they went fishing. The company went fishing, and they threw their hook out, and they're gonna drag it along, and they're gonna see who they can hook. And they've managed to hook a lot of different fan bases, a lot of different dynamics with different sports, media, news, press. They've hooked everyone, and they're continuously pulling that fishing with that hook on it, and they're continuing to hook people. And I think by the time you get to Mania, that hook is going to be overloaded, and it's going to just make for a great main event or a great show altogether. They've managed to hook everybody. Whether you were, and I said this last night, whether you were a jaded fan or you're somebody that knows the ins and outs to know that it's a work or it's not a work, they've got everybody hooked.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there's no question that they got mainstream media to cover a press conference. I mean, could we ever have thought of a time that a press conference was covered the way it was in the earned media? I mean, certainly to an extent you could throw Mike Tyson and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, but we didn't have the social media what it is today. Courage to Kill, Courage to Believe now. We'll certainly find out what you believe here in this situation between Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, The Rock, and I mean, were people played? Was this the right call? Did they know all along? I mean, or was this a reaction that social media kind of caught WWE flat-footed? Or what do you think of all this?
Well, unfortunately, no.
Well, Coach, I went to C2K. I'll come back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
No worries. It's basically, I think it's something that's cooking in the oven. You know, when you put something in the oven and you put it for 350 degrees and you put it for like 15 or 25 minutes, you know, basically this is something that is being cooked a long time ago, probably way before it was brought to the TV. It was something that probably they already was talking a long time ago and waited to the right time to show it to the world. And now it's basically, there's two type of feelings. People are think that they're getting played, or this is what people was waiting for. It's two sides. It's two sides that, you know, basically it's a story that has two different sides of the story. And there's a lot of people that like he says being hooked, because you got three basically just like you got Rocky Sox. You got, of course, Roman Reigns, and then you got We Want Cody. It's three different type of movements that happen right there in that conference. Yes.
I find it fascinating, though, and I'll get to TBK in a second. I'll get to comments. And Ron Franklin, if you want to come on, I'll bring you on here in about 10 minutes. But I find it fascinating that The Rock, everybody was so behind. And I'm listening to all these different podcasters. Now, I didn't really take an opinion on it because my opinion was like, well, they didn't speak actually last week, so let them kind of figure it out. So I unfortunately, Coach, you and I might kind of be in the same way. This is going to sound really, really bad what I'm about to say. I don't really get like immersed in these storylines just because we cover so much wrestling on Sportswire. So it's almost like I don't get like the organic feeling like a fan would, but I find it so fascinating that so many podcasters I was listening to on our radio station were talking about that they were so invested in Cody, and it was almost like there was this movement of Cody crybabies in a way. And I'm just curious, TBK, I'm sure you guys covered it. And where do you fall on all this? I didn't get a chance to hear the podcast. Obviously, we're going to play it on sportswireradio.org tomorrow, so I'll have a chance to kind of hear what you guys had to say. But I mean, what did you make of the press conference? What did you make of where we were? And I kind of think it was literally overnight. The Rock went from, being a hero to almost Hollywood Rock again. And
that's exactly what I said. If you look at it, not long ago, they had Rocky come out and do a couple things with Jinder Mahal, and the roof got blown off the damn place. Then all of a sudden you have him interfere with Cody, and it's Rocky sucks. They are pulling every string right now. WWE is 100% in control of the fans' emotions, and it's beautiful. Why do I say that? Because when is the last time you can remember being this emotionally invested in anything that WWE had going on? I mean, literally, I'm sitting here and I'm going, "Hey, man, like you got The Rock and Cody facing off all of a sudden. Then all of a sudden, Rock backs up and he's behind Roman. Then all of a sudden, he steps forward again. You're getting the juxtaposition there.
How about the press conference? They showed the family tree with the blow eye. I mean, how impressive was that? I didn't realize how many people were were actually on the tree. I mean, I think they even showed people that weren't in WWE at the moment. I was like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rock is 100% leaning into heel Rock. He went on Pat McAfee's show, started the whole Cody Crybaby thing, went on a live press conference, reiterated that point to a live audience. It's beautiful what's going on right now. I love it.
And I think you're absolutely right that WWE hasn't had something like this in a long time. Before I get to Randy, Ron, I think I sent you the link. Want to say hello to Jules NYC. Good evening, gentlemen. Congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction on Omen's show. Well, right now he's not on the air. But if you want to say it's his show, you can say that. But I'm the one with the microphone, so it's kind of like in a way like Vince McMahon, not Vince McMahon. I mean, really is the Vince McMahon. But no, we love Omen. We certainly congratulate Omen, and obviously Randy, Coach, and T2K are in Omen's Hall of Fame. So how about that? But Zach, you can message TBK about his podcast after we're off the air. But Randy. So I mean, was this contrived? I mean, what do you make of this? I mean, some of the things that TBK, because I think it was. I got to be honest, Randy. We were speaking a lot throughout the week, and I think this was the first time in a long time I was like, you know what? Not that I don't watch SmackDown, I always watch it with the start, but I was like, you know what? I felt like it was back in the Attitude Era. It was like, okay, you know what? I got to make sure I'm in front of my.
I said that last night.
Well, I'm going to get to you next. Hold that thought. Not so fast, my friend. To quote Lee Corso. But I mean, Randy, I felt this was the first time since the Attitude Era. I was like, you know what? I got to put everything down. I got to make sure I'm not only I'm home by 8 o'clock. I got to be 20 minutes early just so I can make sure everything's dropped so I can be there and see what happens with Triple H opening the show. Randy, talk to me your thoughts on all that.
You're absolutely right, Tom. Like you go back to the odd here, like I think this is maybe the most hyped in CM Punk first came back in WWE. Everyone's thinking what the heck he's going to say, but they are having the fans drawn into this. Like, forget the news, the rumors of Mercedes Moné going to AEW. That's now water.
It's like thrown off the table now.
It's irrelevant.
Lost in the shuffle.
It's irrelevant at this point because this has taken over the world. Like obviously the Super Bowl is coming up, but this is like getting up there with how.
Can I be honest? I didn't even think about the Super Bowl press conference coverage. I mean, I'm going to talk about it with these other guys that are going to come on the show, and I'll be honest, like. I know they're probably listening. I would rather talk WWE right now for the next 3 hours. I mean, we're going to do Super Bowl. I mean, I'm going to definitely do it, but it's a sports show. Guys are here. They're on the station. I'm going to let them present, but I got to be honest. Like, I'm going to shoot here for a second. I love Justin and Chris. You guys are great. But right now, WWE to me is taking front and center off the Super Bowl off the table. I honestly, I don't even care who wins. I want to talk about. All I want to know is right now, Rock. I want to talk Cody. I want to talk WrestleMania. I want to talk about Triple H. And I want to talk about the Chamber. That's what I'm focused into right now. Nothing else. I can't talk about Met memories. I can't talk about Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers. I can't talk about. I don't care. I really don't care. WrestleMania right now, to me, it's blown the Super Bowl right off the radar.
It 100%. Absolutely has. Like, we are in a time where, like, you're thinking the Attitude Era, like, the amount of exposure WWE has created in the matter of weeks since the whole Vince McMahon thing, how they have really flipped the script, and now everyone's excited for WrestleMania. Regardless what
how many people watched that on YouTube? How many people watched that press conference?
I was watching SmackDown when I was at the gym. I had it, usually I have my music, I had it playing so I could hear what the heck was going to happen. But that's how intense it has been right now for WWE. Like, you do not want to miss a moment of what's going on because you don't know what to expect. We are no longer in the Vince McMahon unpredictable the predictable days or triple kind of what thing. Right now, you don't know what to expect.
I'm fired up. I gotta be honest, Randy. I am fired up for wrestling. I mean, listen, we love our wrestling companies here on Sportswire, and but talking about this for a few hours tonight, I was like so excited. We've been, like I said, I'm gonna get to Coach in a second, but we speak during the week, and I'm like, I have never been in my 5 years talking WWE. Yes, Punk came back for sure. Yes, AEW. The first I was on a podcast doing when AEW first started. I've been through all that stuff. Nothing pales into comparison of what we've just seen these past few days. Coach, I know you want to dive in, so I'm going to give you the floor.
Well, you mentioned Attitude Era. It's like you and I are clicking on the same. we're on the same bandwidth here, Tom. It's like that was one of the same things I said last night when we were talking with when I was talking with Randy and TBK, and to steal a few things they said to kind of put it all in perspective. And something I said last night was, this is the first time in history. I said this last night, first time in history since the Attitude Era, where every angle and everything is either keeping you guessing and everything is swerved, interconnecting with everything at the same time. Like TBK brought up last night about all these loose ends. What do you do with this guy? What do you do with this guy? What do you do with this guy? Like I said, how much time has gone by since the Attitude Era where you've watched wrestling and noticed that, you know, all these different elements, all these different on-screen characters are all entangled with each other, leaving the entire audience emotionally invested and guessing what's happening next. What's happening next? You know, and then to steal something that TBK said last night, like this is, I don't know if it was Randy or TBK, one of y'all said this last night, but you made a good point. This is the first WrestleMania under Triple H completely all Paul Levesque. Vince McMahon is not his hand, not his not even his pinky's on the wheel. This is all Paul Levesque driving this, right? And I said this last night. What is Triple H mainly known for? Being a cerebral assassin. So when you talk about these stories,
he's a slow burner. Yeah, he's a slow burner.
Right. When you talk about these storylines and these angles and how it's about getting people hooked and emotionally invested, like I think Triple H is shooting. I think he's shooting a shot, and I think he's swinging for the fences, and I think he's going to hit a grand slam. Not just a home run. He's hitting a grand slam with Mania.
I think he's already done it because, listen, and I'll come back to you, C2K, in a second, but, you know, okay, the Super Bowl is here Sunday. Like I said, you know, these guys are going to come on here. Yeah, the Chiefs got this. I honestly, like, to me, I could give two flying fill-in-the-blanks, or to quote our Carvel ice cream eaters here locally in the area, two flying saucers right now about the Chiefs and the 49ers. All on my mind right now is WWE. That's it. I don't want to hear
Well, look at it this way. Look at it this way.
Tom, say what you really mean. I want to hear it.
But look at this. We're only into the world title, the heavyweight title picture. We still got 2 months till Mania. We're starting out with the main events, and we still haven't even covered the rest of the card. So if the main events are this high, what's the rest of the card going to be for the women's title, the tag title?
But you know what? I tell you what, I thought it was well done what they did with Bailey's segment tonight. I like this tournament with the Elimination Chamber. They're slow building that. I was into that. I like this LA Knight thing. I like how the show ended tonight with Orton and Drew. I like how Drew came out. I like how Triple H was a part of things. It had really, to me, like it felt like the Attitude Era. It felt like
Triple H coming out and dropping those bombs at The Rock.
Yeah.
Ooh, I felt 1998 all over again. I was like, ooh.
You know what? I gotta say, cheap plug. That's gonna be like when James Taylor comes back right after the Super Bowl, because he's gonna be dropping left and right. I promise you, he is gonna be dropping bombs. But enough about that for a second. I want to say hello to our buddy, also on our Hall of Famer, IMF World Champion, Soldier GP, the popular heel monster. He's gonna definitely be here next Friday. But C2K, I mean, you know, what do you think about all this? You know, I kind of feel like right now, this is like must see, you know, the Super Bowl. Yeah, great. But I mean, we got so many things. It's not even to be just about the Rock and Roman and Cody. You got Bailey and her situation. Look at how, you know, Dakota came out. You know, you got this whole thing with this tournament now to see who's going to face off with Seth. Triple H opens the show. You got LA Knight and how he's entangled with things. I mean, even how the show ended. I mean, this was brilliantly run TV. I come on a lot of times and I'm like, I'm falling asleep through SmackDown. I'm falling asleep through Raw. Not tonight.
Not tonight. Listen, man. Forget about the Super Bowl. Forget about the parties in the Super Bowl. Don't bring the chips. Don't bring the drink. Just forget about it. It's all about the WrestleMania. What's going to happen at WrestleMania? I don't even want to. You know what? I was thinking about going to my cousins on Sunday. To see the Super Bowl. I'm gonna promise I don't want to go over there. I'm not going. I'm gonna stay in my home and watch WrestleMania.
Right now. Listen, let me tell you, he's driving to Las Vegas right now. So if there's people out there, TBK's in the Maryland area, yeah, go with it. He's going. He's actually driving. In fact, he's already got his tickets. He's camped out already. He's getting there early. So listen,
Hey, guys,
if you're out there this
I got no. Hey! I got no interest in the Swift Bowl. All right, I got no interest in the
I'm
Swift
talking
Bowl.
about Mania 40. I don't care about the Swift Bowl. I'm talking about your
Mania's in Philly. Mania's in Philly. What are you talking about, Vegas?
I know you're driving a Mania 40, but forget about all that right now for a second. Let me get to some comments here. I'm gonna start working soon. Yeah, I got you right now. I'm not interested in booking podcast dates. I promise I'll come to you though. Tom, you feel like The Rock is on the same stage. We're not going to talk about John Cena right now. John Cena's past news here.
God.
John Cena, there's nothing to do with it. I know you're the Cena guy.
We already got one movie star in the way.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to add, TBK, about this feeling, the Attitude Era, just to show itself? Because I know I saw you jumping when I was talking about all that.
You already said it. You said that you had to make sure you were home 20 minutes early.
Yep.
You had to make sure that you were there. You had to make sure that you were planted, no distractions.
Nope.
I said it on my show today with Logan. And he said to me, this is what he goes, so you mean to tell me that if a big surprise happens at WrestleMania, you're not going to be on your phone? I said, absolutely not. I promise you, right? I have a wrestling chat filled with guys. Every pay-per-view, every show, we're sitting there talking. I promise you, I am not going to be involved in that chat. This is the very first time in a long time that I am going to be eyes glued to the TV, hanging on every single moment.
Let me ask you a general question. I'll start out with Randy, as we are here with the coach. He says the real Craven, but it's the REA, but he meant the real Craven. TBK, the host of the Be More Talkative podcast, our newest member of the Sportswire Radio Hall.
I think it cut it off. I'm on my phone.
Fair enough. And of course, Randy Dillon, our other Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. But let me ask you guys this general question here and tell me what your thoughts are on this. The Rock and Roman Reigns, this alliance. Now, I don't know where this is going. Are we going, and I'll start with you, Randy, first. Are we going to see the Rock and Roman Reigns team up possibly at Elimination Chamber? Do you see the Rock and Roman wrestling it all together? Talk to me about your thoughts on this.
Absolutely.
They're coming on next week. Good.
I do see Rock and Roman setting up for a tag team against Cody, possibly Seth, but I think it could be doubtful with his injury. I know TBK, we were talking about this yesterday with Chris, and we were saying it's going to happen, but with Seth's injury, I think they're going to try to keep him off. But it seems like right now the Rock and Roman, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which both are Cody. And they believe that they're taking this opportunity away from them because they're entitled with their family. And listen, we've seen the history with the Rhodes family, how the W kind of outcast them, make them the Owanu family, like the greatest of all time. Look at all the people that come in: Rikishi, Samoa Joe, all the others.
Yokozuna's in there. You got High Chief Peter Maivia. I mean, it's a long list of people. You got the Wild Samoans. I mean, the list is just endless with the Samoans. I mean, Nia Jax is on there. I know people, Nia Jax are like, oh, don't mention it. The Usos are on there. I mean, you got Solo Sikoa, obviously. I mean, we can go up and down the list of Samoans. It's my goodness. It's
Umaga you put up there. So
rest his soul. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So I think right now what I think of it, Rock and Roman are on the same page until Rock believe Roman can't get the job done. Because I'm with TBK. We are seeing the heel Rock, and I think we are in a long haul for a great heel Rock run coming down the pipeline.
Well, he said, it's great you made that point, Randy, because, Coach, The Rock had said for the first time, I think I heard him somewhere say that he now wants to be in WWE for a while. He's not just here for one appearance and then sayonara for the next 10 years. I mean, so I got to ask you, Coach, are we going to see The Rock more often? Or maybe are we going to see The Rock even team up with Roman Reigns coming up? I mean, what do you think of all that?
Well, I think I don't know if he'll be there with as a complete wrestling position.
Oh, no way. No, he's not going to be there in that capacity. I agree.
I saw what I saw tonight on SmackDown. Kind of gave me a few thoughts in my head about how this may play out with The Rock's involvement on a regular basis. For example, okay, yes, maybe he does this tag match with Roman. Maybe he aids Roman. Maybe even at Mania, Cody beats Roman night one, and then The Rock says, like you said, you can't get the job done, I'm going to go do it. And then Cody beats The Rock. on night 2. Maybe something like that goes down. But I think this is going to be. We talk about the attitude era. I think this is going to be more along the lines of a power struggle, and everybody on these rosters are going to be pawns in this, especially the main event guys. You're going to have Triple H on one side, and then you're going to have The Rock on the other side, and it's going to be this politicking power trouble, kind of like having two McMahons, like back in the Attitude Era. When you had Shane and Vince going at each other for power. You know what I mean? The Rock did something very interesting in the press conference. You mentioned that Samoan dynasty family tree
showed up. Yep.
Right, and he comes out there and he said something that not even Roman has said. He went directly after Cody's royal family tagline. He went directly after that tagline that Cody uses. And there are a lot of royal families in wrestling. You have the Harts, Steiners, Flairs, Rhodes,
the Ortons, yeah.
There are the Von Erichs. There are so many, right? And Rock comes out last night, and he's basically stating that the Samoan dynasty, even that, they have a lot more Samoans than there have been anybody else. And the only family comes close to that and rivaling the Samoan dynasty is the Hart family, as far as members in wrestling. So he comes out and he sticks that to Cody. He sticks that to the audience. He sticks it to everybody. That the Samoan dynasty is the best royal or the most dominant royal family out there. Now, that got me really thinking, like, Cody's whole thing since he left. I mean, he's been doing this. There's more than one royal family saying he's been doing this since, like, shortly after he left WWE the first time. Like, he's been promoting that the Rhodes family is a royal family name, which it is. So I think this is going to get a lot more personal. I think this is going to get a lot more nitty gritty, and I think this is going to get down. I wouldn't even be surprised if Dustin Rhodes shows up to Mania to be in his brother's corner. Like, this is getting real in depth.
But that's what's good in wrestling. Listen, they always say one wrestler told me, I don't want to say his name, but he told me that you wouldn't know him, actually. And he told me that's good in wrestling. You want emotions. You want that. I mean, that's good. That's why people are so invested in this right now, because now we're starting to see something that develops. C2K, Courage to Believe. What else you want to say?
I really want to say that we really are going to see the Rock, the heel Rock, the Hollywood Rock. And to tell you the truth,
and how hard that was, by the way, for WWE, and you got to give them credit for a second, because The Rock was just 2 weeks ago, not even 2 weeks ago, was this mythical, beloved figure, and he's a legend. Find me a time when a legend of The Rock status all of a sudden went overnight and now became this basically reviled heel. I can't think of a time in wrestling history where this has happened.
Yeah, me neither. But it's like, to tell you the truth, maybe because I'm a Virgo, maybe because I feel vibes. But since when he came in there, I already knew. I saw it in his eyes. I saw his face. I said, this is a different Rock. This is not the Rock that came. And that people got up and started crapping and got surprised when he came back. No, this is the heel Rock. This is the Hollywood Rock. Maybe because I be watching, I know everybody be watching, The Rock back in the 1990s and how he turned heel. And it's like, you know what? This is the heel Rock. And it's like, I was kind of happy because I haven't seen the heel Rock for a very long time.
We haven't seen it in 20 years, 21 years. 2003 was the last time he was a heel, really. I mean, think about that for a second. Playing the guitar and, going out and, feuding with Austin, Hogan, Goldberg. We haven't seen that. But now we're seeing that in for a whole new generation of people. The Baltimore Kid, I know you got something you want to say. I just know you're waiting. So go ahead.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and do a little bit of foreshadowing. So here's what I think is going to happen, right?
All right.
This is 3 years. You cannot have Roman Reigns lose in anything other than spectacular fashion, it has to be big. So what I think is going to happen is we're going to get Rock and Roman tagging at Elimination Chamber versus Cody
Seth
and
Rollins and Cody Rhodes.
Seth and Cody, right? And I think, obviously I think Roman's going to retain. During that match, you're going to see the juxtaposition happen. You're going to see that power struggle between Roman and The Rock. And you know what? I think they're going to drag this out. I think they're going to drag this all the way up until March, playing with Rock being the heel character. And then again, we're going to get the big moment where Rock is going to turn on Roman or interfere in the match somehow and give Cody the win. Like I said.
Bro, so you think The Rock turns before Mania?
No, at Mania.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, okay, that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
but then do you think then we're building this to SummerSlam with The Rock and Roman? Because I don't think they would do. What do you think there? I'll let Randy jump in a second, but where would they go then if The Rock's going to turn at Mania?
100%. 100%. The Rock and Roman needs its just due. Like we said, just not right now. He can be a part of the story without being the focal point. That's what everybody needs to understand. But them two having their match, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen down the line.
I agree with you on that. Randy, you have any thoughts on that here? Do you go ahead, jump in?
Absolutely, I do. I'm going to add to TBK because they're going to slow burn this really well because I definitely see Heyman Solo turning on Roman, going with The Rock.
What you see them going with The Rock, not Roman?
Not Roman. If Roman loses, that loses all his power. And who's more powerful than Roman without the title? It's going to be The Rock. And then I think Jimmy's going to get pushed to the side. And then it's going to be Solo's going to put a line with Rock because he's the next biggest team with Heyman. So this is going to be a whirlwind over a year. And we're going to see Roman in and out. And all Roman wants to do is get his revenge on The Rock, because Cody said, I'm going to take everything from you, but it's going to be really The Rock who's going to take everything.
All right, let me take a vote with everybody here. All right, let me take a vote. And again, this is a non-binding vote, but let's take a vote. The Rock, leave him to the side for a second, but we know at Mania it's Cody and Roman. So let's take a vote. Who do you think wins, Cody or Roman?
Cody.
If Roman retains in Philly, they will kill that man.
That's exactly why I think Roman's going to retain.
No.
I think Roman's going to retain. I think he's going to retain.
Please.
Does anybody remember the ECW One Night Stand where they said, if Cena wins, we will riot?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah, I see that happening again.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way.
And they threw toilet paper at the guy. Let's remember that much.
Yes, from the balcony, from the stand.
Listen. If I'm Roman Reigns' bus driver and that man wins, he better not even turn that bus off. He better have that thing running continuously all night because they got to get out of there.
All right, I realize I'm out. I knew I was going to be outvoted in this, but WWE already tried to kind of pull a fast one, quote unquote, with The Rock and Roman. You don't think in a way that Roman could retain and that builds into The Rock and Roman further? I mean, because remember, they still want this 4-year thing, quote unquote. They still want that. I mean, that's over with.
So when does Roman officially beat Hogan's record? Does anybody know?
Remember, it's too long for him to keep going at that point.
Okay,
but they've already kept him champ this long. He's been 3+ years. I mean, what's another 7 months?
I'm going to keep adding to what I said. There's no more story for Roman to tell. Are we going to go through the same year of the bloodline helping him, but kind of The Rock playing the card?
Listen, I agree. I just think that WWE, the fact that I don't know if it was already a plan that they had diabolically, but they already had, quote unquote, where Cody basically gave up. He gave up his quote unquote match that he had. Then he said, well, now I'm picking Roman because, I don't know if they knew the backlash was going to be what it was. I mean, it was so, I don't know if you guys covered this on your podcast, but I had heard Jeff Jarrett mention this on his podcast that WWE on YouTube turned off the dislikes. They were getting so many dislikes on their video with Roman, Cody, and The Rock that I don't know if that maybe changed their opinion. I don't know if they knew this was predetermined or not, but that's why a part of me thinks that, and I said this on yesterday's show live with the TPW guys, Atomic Titan and Joshua Allen, and Nicholas Crenson later came on, another fellow Hall of Famer, but I kind of still think that Roman might retain here still.
The only way I see Roman retaining, I'm going to say this clearly because this has been talked about through some dirt sheet stuff I've read over the last month. If Cody loses 2 years in a row,
he's a failure. He can never come back and be in the main event. I said it. I compared him to the Buffalo Bills, and for football fans, if you're waiting for football talk, you're gonna get that's what you're gonna get.
I think with Cody's momentum, even if he lost again, I think and I hate to say this, but even with his momentum, I think that he would still have a driving force, even more so behind him.
Even if he lost back-to-back manias though in a row,
it loses.
It depends on how he loses. Like for example, if The Rock comes out and costs him this match, you feel me?
Okay, so let's go with that.
There's one other alternative that they've been toying with, and this is something I've been hearing for a month, maybe a little bit more than a month. Is that Cody getting the WWE Championship is happening, but if it doesn't happen at Mania, the only other better spot for it to happen at is at Madison Square Garden, where his father had it put his hand and then taken.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you an alternative, right? You just said something interesting here, and I'll let the guys maybe have a thought on it, and I'm going to say hello to Mr. Allen. He's here also, the TPW owner. But let me ask you, what about the thought of maybe The Rock and Cody Rhodes in a match?
I see it.
I think you might have that for Backlash.
I mean, if Rock's serious about coming back and wanting to, actually be in the ring and be more.
The seed's already been planted at the press conference. The seed was planted. I mean,
okay. I'm not super excited about it, but I wouldn't be against.
But you would be more excited about The Rock and Roman. Why?
Well, because we've been owed that. We've been owed that at this. Again, that was supposed to happen years ago, but because of contractual things and Rock being Mr. Hollywood,
but you don't think that The Rock? What couldn't you say that The Rock and Cody would be kind of like a passing of the torch, similar to Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania 18? No,
for sure. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be mad at it. And like you said, we've gotten a little tease at the press conference, but again, I mean, I don't know. I think the big question that we're all trying to figure out with this whole thing is simply just why is all this happening now? You know what I mean? I think that's what everybody's hanging on right now and trying to figure out.
If I can just add so one thing I want to add with Tom, you're saying about The Rock costing Cody, I feel like they're good, and going back even Chris' point with the power struggle, that's where I think The Rock is going to take over. Triple H laid down the law, and listen, we've seen the history. These guys are supposed to have a match for so long at Mania. I feel like it's going to be Triple H wants to get this family, the Lana family, take everything away for them, and that's where The Rock's going to be like, okay, I'm taking over because I got to take care of Triple H and Cody. It's not just one. Because Triple H made the comments today. It was pretty obvious that Triple said, this is what's going to happen. And I don't care.
He was very firm. He was firm. Yep.
So that's where I think Roman's going to lose. Because even if The Rock interferes, Triple H is going to somehow have Cody back. Whether it is bringing back Dustin, Goldust, someone else, Cody's going to have. And the old saying, fool me once, shame on you, shame on me. Fool me, shame on you. Fool me, try shame on me. I don't think Cody can't go in losing wrestling knowing someone from the bloodline is going to interfere. He has to be ready for that this year.
Yeah, fully expected it. And like you just said, I think you're going to get and this is how I feel about this. I think, and I'm going to go off of what you said, Tom, earlier in the show with the whole Rock thing. It's and what we were talking about earlier about the power struggle. It's like I think it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody. And in Roman's corner, you're going to have Solo, you're going to have Jimmy, you're going to have Rock. Maybe not Jimmy. Jimmy may be distracted, but I think he still will be there.
You're getting I agree with you. You're getting Solo, you're getting The Rock. There's no question you're getting that.
And I think in Cody's corner, you're going to see the likes of possibly Dustin, but I do think you're going to see Triple H in Cody's corner. Legitimately, not a screw job. Legitimately in his corner.
See, the only reason I say no on Dustin, doesn't he have a contract with AEW?
It's supposed to be done here pretty soon. That's the thing.
Yeah,
if it's done before Mania, forget it. Well, then book it. I mean,
now going on what you said earlier, when you mentioned this, you said this comment. You said, okay, if the Roman,
I said a lot of comments.
Roman didn't get the job, so The Rock steps in, kind of thing. You said something like that earlier.
I did. Yes, I did.
I think Cody wins at Mania. I think they don't wait for the Garden. I think they do it at Mania because that's bigger than that.
I think they have no choice but
they
have no choice but to do it. Last year, okay, fine. You could still play the story, but they really have put themselves in a corner. I'm with you, Randy. We spoke about this all the time. They don't have a choice. I mean, part of me thinks, though, WWE will continue to go with Roman because the business is what it is, the ratings, they'll get all the backlash. They love it. And that's why part of me thinks Roman will still retain.
I wouldn't even be surprised if they do a kind of a switcheroo at Mania, like maybe Roman cheats to win. Triple H comes out and says restart the match, and then of course Cody takes it, something like that. Yeah. And then at Backlash, like you said earlier, The Rock goes, well, Roman couldn't get it done, and then you get your Rock, your Rock and Cody match at Backlash. And that might be the one match you're going to see The Rock and Cody go at it in. And then, of course, he gets past The Rock. Because, like I said, I don't think The Rock's back for a full-time wrestling schedule.
Oh, no, he can't be.
No.
I don't know if you guys talk about it. I'm going to hear you guys tomorrow. I'm going to play it on the radio, on Sportzwire Radio. Two of you have wrestled. One of you obviously covers this stuff. Two of you have wrestled, technically. The Rock has wrestled, and C2K, you could even throw a two on this. The Rock has wrestled a grand total in the last 12 years, 8 seconds. Yes. 8 seconds. So there's no way he's coming here full time. You can't fake the fact that he has not taken any real bumps. I know guys were telling me last night when I said this stat on the air, well, he's been training. BS. You can't fake in front of that audience that you have. Coach, you know this. Randy, you know this because you've gone out there and done it. You've done it, C2K, to an extent as well. You can't, at the end of the day, tell me that you cannot change the time that you lost, and he's not going to. There's no way on earth, despite the shape that he looks, that he could go out there and be a full-time competitor or be a part-time competitor again.
Especially after he hits one of his signature moves and he looks like he shit himself. He was so gassy, he looked like he shit himself after hitting his one signature move.
There's no way, man, because it's not me. I've been doing this for 30 years, and when I came to RWA, I was training. I was like, oh my god, I feel all my bones. I feel everything. It's like when I did my first bomb, I couldn't even get out. I was like, oh my god, I am old. There's no way that even though the Rock had the shape and everything, yeah, he does. He had the shape, but at the same time, no, I don't know. I don't think he got it. He don't got it like he used to be. I mean,
that's why I'm anybody to kind of mask what the lack that he has of those bumps he hasn't taken. We saw what happened with Punk. Punk was in the Rumble. Punk hasn't wrestled much the last. He's had about 12 matches in the last 10 years.
What's the wrestler's worst enemy?
Yep.
Time.
Flair says it. Ric Flair, although he said it, a wrestler's worst enemy is time off.
Time. Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
Time. In the last 4 matches The Rock did, he broke his ribs.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen, 8 seconds was the last match he had. Listen, and I think Tommy Dreamer said it when he came back to the ring. This was, I think, during COVID when they first had a live crowd. He was gassed like the first 3 minutes in. The Rock's 54. I mean, listen, we see The Rock, and oh my goodness. I mean, he's got more muscles than he had 20 years ago, but you can't change time.
Yeah, there's no stunt double here.
No, there's no stunt double. Yeah, listen, I mean, Hogan was in great shape, but he still got injured. He got injured. Nash was in great shape. He had 25 knee operations. I mean, you can't change the fact that you can be in great shape, but you don't take those bumps or you're injury prone, you're not going to last very long. Conversely, for you guys on the Raw side, who do you think comes out and eventually becomes, Seth's challenger? We're going to have the Chamber. We're going to have these different people participate. I'm assuming Bronson Reed's going to get a bone thrown and be there in Australia because he's got a match with Bobby Lashley. I don't think Bronson Reed's going to be the guy wrestling Seth Rollins, but in terms of everybody else that's qualified so far and who could potentially qualify, tell me who you think would face off with Seth Rollins. It's going to be Logan Paul.
I think it's Gunter. with Seth
Gunther's not in
Rollins.
I don't think Gunther's in the qualifying tournament.
I'm going to add to CK2 there because
jump in.
I've been thinking about this with Gunther, and we talked about it yesterday, Chris, and TBK. He beaten everyone. The IC title, the only way you can take the IC, there's two ways he can take it off. A triple threat match, Priest cash it in, or he gives it up to get an opportunity at the World Heavyweight Championship. Because his plan with Brock as well, it blew out of the water. And listen, the rumors are you got Braun Breaker. He could.
Braun Breaker tonight. I mean, what a promo that was. What a segment that was. Basically, kind of deciding where he's going to go. Then Heyman comes in. That was brilliant. I mean, I thought that was another home run segment.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. So that's where like Gunther right now, he's in a no man's land where they don't know what to do with him, and I feel. He needs to now get motivated to the main roster because he's beaten everyone on the mid card. He's made everyone on the mid card look like $1 million, no matter who it is, either Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, Tommaso Ciampa. He made the Miz look better than what the Miz did at WrestleMania. So many years against John Cena. So at this point, it's now to pull the plug on him, make him a main event star, and then make him the headline when you go to Germany in August.
It's a good point. That's a good point. Anybody want to follow up with that?
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with him. It's a good point.
All right. What do you, Coach? You shaking your head? You're shaking your head and you're feeding with Craven Rage. You tell me why.
I think come WrestleMania, Gunther's going to have a significant opponent. I don't think he's going to have to hand the belt off. I don't think he's going to have.
Is that opponent Jey Uso?
You could go with Jey Uso.
They had a segment on Raw on Monday that's kind of
last night.
Jey hasn't had singles gold. I mean, that to me makes perfect sense. No.
Well, I say this last night. I said this last night, and I'm going to add to what I said last night when I brought up Braun Breaker. See, Braun Breaker actually replaced Brock Lesnar in the Raw.
And they have history at NXT, Gunther and Braun Breaker. A lot of history.
I wonder if Braun Breaker is going to replace him at Mania. I wonder if that's just a direct shot for Braun because now he's pulled up immediately. They're going to put him.
Braun looked great tonight. That was such a great segment.
Right.
That was fantastic.
I think you're going to see Gunther and Breaker at Mania. I think that's going to be the IC title. Whether Braun takes the belt off him or not, I think that's your Mania match. As far as what you said about the men's chamber match, I'm going to go with. I originally thought it was going to be a triple threat between Sammy, McIntyre, and Rollins. After what happened tonight with Sammy not qualifying, I'm going to go with either McIntyre or LA Knight. I can't see them putting Ivar in that spot.
And
he's not.
He
doesn't have enough.
Eaton says
that's
Randy Orton.
One I would think as well. Randy Orton might be the wild card in all of this.
But I also go back to what I was telling you guys, a couple of you gentlemen last night. WWE right now is swerving everybody in every direction. You got to swerve with you're having swerves with damage control. You got swerves with the main event picture. You're having swerves with this. They're making everybody do this with their fucking heads.
Mm-hmm.
But that's great, though. That's
right.
So many times, I've been doing this for 5 years. I so many times for my 5 years. I've come on and people knew. I didn't even have to watch Raw. I didn't have to watch SmackDown. I could close my eyes.
Right.
I knew it was going to happen. I don't know that right now.
I don't think this is your customary wrestling year where all the standards apply. Everything's a wild card.
Yeah.
I think this year
going into drawing people in right now. That's what's drawing people in. I said,
so when you're talking about what's your prediction? Your best guess is your best guess. I mean, Orton, anybody's going to go and look at Orton's in this chamber match. Orton's obviously a winner. He obviously is. But what if they don't? They swerve.
I don't know if he's obviously a winner.
I wouldn't say obviously.
You sure about that?
Hold on. To your typical wrestling fan, Orton is probably they're going to be like, oh, he just came back. They're going to give it to him. And you know what? That may be the case. But what if he doesn't get it and Bobby Lashley gets it? Or what if LA Knight?
Well, he's not because Bronson Reed's Australia.
Last night. What if LA Knight swerves everybody, surprises everybody, and you got LA Knight
but that's where I think you are wrong. And I'll let the guys speak on it, and then if the guys want to come on football, you're gonna wait because now I'm getting fired up. I mean, so here's what it comes down to though. I don't think it's conventional Orton wins because you got LA Knight in there. You know, you're going to wind up having Drew McIntyre in there. We know that. You're going to wind up having the hometown guy. I would imagine Bronson Reed's going to be in there. You're going to probably have Logan Paul in there. I mean, you're going to probably have Dom Mysterio in there, I would think. I mean, I don't think Kevin Owens is going to win. I could be wrong. But you got some guys in there that could certainly be wild cards. No, I mean, you could even say theoretically Dom Mysterio would be an interesting wild card off the bat. You want to jump in, Baltimore kid? You can go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you just said it, Chris. This they are absolutely making everybody go, huh? What? So yeah, the obvious play right now would be, as you just said, to be like, oh, Randy just came back. They're giving it to Randy. No. There is somebody that we're forgetting about who is absolutely on fire right now, and that is Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
I mentioned him. I said Drew's in there. I mentioned him.
I think my point was miscued. That's my point. This isn't your run-of-the-mill regular pay-per-view.
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah.
This is going to be wild. It's not going to be Orton. I don't think it will be.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think
he's a wild card. I only think
be that predictable winner. That's my point.
Drew needs to have the moment because, like I said, he got his he carried the COVID era with his championship win.
I said the same thing last night on the live stream last night.
He absolutely needs and deserves it. Look, the guy is sitting there at every chance he gets. He's delivering fire promos.
But I still bring up, what's the contract situation?
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. He's delivering fire promos week after week. He just shit all over a returning CM Punk, and he's got a contract issue coming up. You gotta make it worth the guy's while. Give him the WrestleMania moment. Even if he loses, he's got the moment. Give it to him.
And his shirt, by the way, I just want to say his shirt right now is brilliant. I love that shirt.
That's what I'm saying.
Like TBK's right. Like Drew McIntyre is going all the way, and you think about past guys who've exited WWE. They either get pushed to the side or they kind of get buried in the mountain in a big match. And I feel like Drew McIntyre, they're doing everything in their power to get this guy to sign a deal. Otherwise, why would they be pushing him this big? But
I find that fascinating because the WWE policy's always been we never push a guy who could leave and put him in. I mean, the only exception, I think Kevin Nash, which again, totally different era, was in main event still, but that's it. I can't think of another situation that really wasn't. And I'll come to Ethan here, which I don't know what he's talking about. Randy hasn't been a world champion since 2011. Didn't he win the title briefly in 2020? I mean, but
2020, he won it for 14 days.
He took it from McIntyre. McIntyre got it back.
Yeah. Remember the whole Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing? Sorry. Okay, remember the whole Brock Lesnar Goldberg thing in 2004? How they hyped this match up and the fans were not into the and they put them in the middle.
Yeah,
this isn't the same thing. And even you saw the promos by the guys. I think it was more Stone Cold carrying the promos between those guys at that point. Drew McIntyre,
because they knew both guys were leaving. They knew that Brock was quitting, and they knew that Goldberg's contract would run out. That's it. It was like, what a disaster that was.
Exactly, but this is just something different. I have the feeling a deal is coming for Drew McIntyre. Otherwise, we'll know by Chamber. I think we will know by Chamber what Drew McIntyre's future is. If he wins the Chamber, somehow he gets screwed or he does something, he will be involved in Mania a big way. If he loses clean, then I gotta think his time's up.
I'm calling it.
I think about Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, that's the guy that he needs his WrestleMania moment. Drew McIntyre, he's fire up. He's the guy that has been on everybody's neck. CM Punk and then the Seth Rollins, everybody's neck. And he have been saying it. I need that moment. And saying that, win that shirt, they have a CM Punk. It's like, I think they should give it to him. About him being screwed, at the Chamber, I think he will get screwed. But I know that he's gonna find his way back right there at the WrestleMania.
Like I said last night on your thing, TBK. I called this, and I'm sticking with my prediction. The hell with everybody else in the Chamber match. Remember, like I said, originally I thought it was going to be a triple threat. But after seeing to SmackDown tonight, I think it's going to be McIntyre, Rollins. McIntyre's going to win the title, and either at Mania or the Raw after Mania, Damien's going to cash in, and he's going to take it off of McIntyre, and then you're going to have that McIntyre-Damien feud that's been teased piece by piece over the last several months.
Yeah, I mean that.
I see that.
Yeah, like I said, Drew is absolutely killing it right now, killing it. I cannot remember a time where his confidence on the mic has been stronger. He's going out there.
He's never had it before because the COVID era, nobody was out there.
Exactly. Who's going to talk to? It's a whole different Drew. It's a whole different guy. And like I said, your guy is out there and he's basically they're telling you, I need the moment. I have to have the moment. I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to get the moment.
You know this, and the wrestler told me, I don't want to say his name, was hello, James Taylor. I can't wait for Sunday after the big game. But, emotions. When you have emotion from a wrestler, that is going to draw people. That's why people tune in. That's why people want to see. They want to see the cliffhanger. They want to see the ending. And right now, you're getting a number of situations where emotions are being stirred. You're seeing that fire. It's good to have negativity. It's good to have people not liking each other in this sport. People don't want hunky-dory. They don't want lovey-dovey. The facts is they want that kind of controversy. Controversy creates cash.
Yep.
What's the old saying? Everything's turned up to 1,000 or everything's turned up to 100 right now.
Exactly.
Yes. For everything across the board is way up.
Any news for them right now is good news. Any news for them right now. WWE is the hottest topic in sports entertainment.
100%. 100%. Listen, like I said, I'm going to bring these guys on in a few minutes, and I'm going to talk the Super Bowl, and I'll be honest, the Super Bowl to me, it's not even in my radar. I mean, I'm going to know about it. I'm going to talk about it, but I really, to me, don't care either way. I'm going to be honest. I mean, yes, I know about it. I'm going to talk about it. Yeah. Talking Rivals, Lift Off Jets podcast. Tell me what's going on. We're going to listen to it. We're going to play it. But to me right now, wrestling is taking the center stage. And for a good thing. Because you know what? I think that's what the people want to hear. They want to hear something different. People are tired of hearing about Taylor Swift, Taylor and Travis. I know the guys are going to tell me, well, Taylor's only been on for 40 seconds on TV. It doesn't matter. People hear about it. They don't want to hear the same old stuff. Right now, wrestling has caught fire. Like, I think it was Coach who said, this is a different year. This is an unusual year in wrestling. It's one of those years you're going to look back and say, wow, we're in a boom period, another boom. Jeff Jarrett said it best. We're back in another boom period. I've been doing this 5 years, and I can't tell you how many times I went on and go, yeah, did you think about this? With wrestlers overseas, I go, yeah, I wouldn't even want to watch. Now I want to watch. Now I want to talk about it. Now I want to hear what people have to say. So many times throughout, whether it was 2019, certainly the COVID years, it was like I think there's something there, to that. But yes, James Taylor, going to see you right after the Super Bowl, right after the big game. James Taylor's promised something. You want to say something else, Randy?
Yeah, Tom, I just want to add how big right now wrestling. Think about their next shows after Mania. You got Backlash in Paris. You got a Saudi show. Money in the Bank's up here in Canada. Then you got SummerSlam in the States. Then you're going to Germany for another show.
Yep.
It's going worldwide.
And you said the France show, right? Was Backlash. Right?
Yeah, France, Backlash, Saudi, Canada, SummerSlam US, and then the Germany show.
You know what that tells me? I'll tell you what that tells me here. That tells me that WWE certainly knows that in order for them to continue to grow and be in a boom phase, it's about going global. It's not just going to the same places. They're going to places that they haven't been to or they haven't been to since I have no idea when. When was the last time WWE was in France? Have they ever been in France?
I don't think they have ever been in France.
2003 Raw. That's what I think. A 2003 Raw.
Maybe
really? 2003? They were there? Wow.
For a Raw, yeah, because a lot of Resistance was doing something.
Wow. But Germany, they don't run Germany often. Germany's like...
No.
They used to run Germany in the 90s for the house show runs, but we're talking places like Canada getting a pay-per-view, not just SummerSlam or something like that. You talk Money in the Bank. That's a big deal. I mean, we're going to places. What's that?
3 shows. They got SmackDown, NXT, SmackDown, Money in the Bank, then NXT, a big NXT event.
And we haven't had that in it until that ages. That tells you that WWE right now, they're knowing that in order for them to really grow and to max out their situation, it's got to be global. Because look, and the guys are going to talk NFL in a few minutes, right? But the NFL right now, what do you think they're doing? They're going to Brazil. They're going to different countries. They know that the American fan base, they've maxed out. That's it. They don't have any more fans. The
like I said earlier, Paul Levesque has the bat and he's swinging for a grand slam.
Yep.
Now he looks like he's hitting one. I tell you what, he's hitting one.
Let me put it to you this way: I can't wait. I cannot wait until the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl press conference numbers come out, because I'm telling you right now.
Did anybody even watch the Super Bowl press conference?
Probably not, and thank God, because it was horse shit anyway. But we're not going to touch on that.
They're going to tell me, yeah, I watched it. Yes, I did. And I'm not knocking them. It's nothing to do with them. But like seriously, I can't remember a time I ever watched the Super Bowl press conference. Who really watched it? But this WrestleMania press conference?
That's what I'm saying. I can't wait. I can't wait until the conference and the Super Bowl numbers come out. Because I'm telling you right now, WWE's press conference alone scorches those numbers, and it's not even close.
The hashtag, the
trending. AEW's numbers, think about it. They probably scored them for the next month.
Well, that's the thing, though. We haven't even gotten to the event yet. We're still in February, and they are absolutely crushing it.
So we have now, it's 8 more SmackDowns, 9 more Raws, mathematically. I think it's 8 more. It was the 6th and the 7th. So that means we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 8 more SmackDowns, 9 more Raws. So that means, listen, we're talking about this for 2 months. When you talk about the Super Bowl, you can't talk about that for more than a week. You can't talk about that because you're guessing. Now you got this. You got this really legitimately now for 2 months. I got 2 months every Friday or every other show during the other podcasts out there that come onto the dial. Obviously, TBK, you're back in it. And, you can talk about this for week after week after week after week after week after week after week. I mean, that's all a boon for WWE. I mean, I didn't even talk about AEW. I didn't even talk about the fact
haven't even got the Chamber yet. We still got Chamber. We still haven't passed
Chamber. Yeah, right.
I mean, listen, this is a time to be a wrestling fan like there's no others. Obviously, I want to get these guys on because obviously in the interest of time, I want to give them their crack. I will talk about the Super Bowl because they're on the platform. So let me get to closing thoughts from everybody. I'll bring these guys on in about 5 minutes. I know, I hear you. I would want to talk for 3 hours too, but, it's a Friday regular show. I promise you, though, we're going to be back. I'm going to do a special show with the IMF guys. Then I'm going to bring guys on after that. And we'll talk more WWE. So I promise you're going to get your fixes. But let's get to some closing thoughts. C2K, it's your moment. Obviously, congratulations once again and being in our Hall of Fame. Now, your photo is up on our website, so you can go to sportswireradio.org and check that out. I sent you the certificate, so you can have that there. And anything else you might want to say, plug, and the floor is yours before we move on and have the hockey line change for Randy and bring on some of the other guys here to talk the big game.
I just want to say I'm very happy. It's an honor to be part of this. This is very special for me. I got. I'm sorry. I was looking at my phone. I got my family congratulating me. I got all my friends, congratulating me on the phone right now, and it's something special for me that it feels like finally I did something right in my life, and it just basically being a Hall of Famer. And I thank God. I thank you guys. I thank you, Tom, for it.
Well, you deserve it, my friend, and obviously you've been one of the more memorable personalities over the years, and I look forward to you maybe being a part of the regular team here for the wrestling coverage. So next time, they'll promise me take the suit and tie off for the next time you come on the air, because you don't need the suit and tie. I even made it funny. Ronnie Thatcher, who was inducted, did the same thing, and he's obviously a big deal in CCW, and he was like, well, I got dressed up for this, so you don't have to. I kind of make the joke the first, and I know Randy and Coach got inducted, but I did the first one with RPD, and I was like, I'm taking it off. I am not a suit and tie guy on. You couldn't pay me to wear a suit and tie. In fact, my mother's getting married, and she's mad at me because I'm going to show up in my XCW shirts. Seriously, I plan to show up in my wrestling shirt. I'll show up to the thing, but I'm going to show up in my wrestling shirt. And then we'll see how long I last in the venue. But I'm going to try it. I promise you, it'll be a fun conversation when I'm on the air. I mean, we'll see if I live to tell. But C2K, congratulations. I look forward to seeing you next week on the show. Thank you for your support over the years. The Baltimore Kid, I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say in the podcast I'm looking forward to this You guys have talked so much about this podcast with the three of you, and I can't wait to listen to it tomorrow afternoon. So let's hope it's as good as what you guys have talked about. And I turn it over to you. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And here's your banner that you designed for us, and fire away.
Yeah, we can only hope so. Thank you guys. Great show, by the way. I'm super fired up. I wish it didn't have to end. C2K.
I know. I hear you.
C2K, congratulations, man. Like Tom said, next time ditch the shirt and tie. We have a dress code around here. Tank top only.
I will.
I was telling my mother last. You've been Randy. You've been with me a while. You know the deal. I told my mother this. She's like, "Well, I thought you'd dress up. You've worked in politics before." I'm like, I gave that up before COVID. Now I'm pretty much like I call myself like the Jimmy Buffett of wrestling. I'm like, I don't do that anymore. Now I'm myself. So yeah, just be yourself. That's what I tell people. It's worked, and maybe not so much work to make people laugh at me rather than with me. But you can continue, TBK.
Right. So just like I said, next time, just remember to wear your best tank top. You'll be fine. Anyway, guys, no, like I said,
I'll do it right now. Pick it up and
there you go.
There you go.
That's the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame. There you go. That's the courage to kill that I used to know. There you go. Good enough.
Nice. Yeah, guys. So like Tom said, we actually have a double feature tomorrow. We got the Road to WrestleMania podcast with me, Chris Craven, Randy Dillon, and Peter Richards. Okay. And then we got the other show with the Tribal Cheese himself, Mr. Logan Kellywell. It's great show, great guys. Very much looking forward to having you guys listen to it and getting back on here and discussing with you guys what is going to be happening in the next in the weeks to come. I'm too damn it, Tom. I'm too fired up to get off.
I know, but it's a regular sport. God bless Rob Moroska. I was like, Rob, I ain't talking baseball right now. I love you, Rob, but I can't get excited about Clayton Kershaw re-signing with the Dodgers right now. I mean, I just right now wrestling's like, I'll talk the big game, but obviously next week the regular show is preempted. But we're gonna bring the wrestling guys back. I'm gonna do the IMF show. Then we're gonna bring the wrestling guys back on. So it's a hot time. But where can we find you, TBK, before I go over to the coach?
Yeah, you guys can, if you want to, hit me up on Facebook, Ryan Andrew Familaro. You guys can hit me up on Instagram at t.b.k0892. And obviously, as we've been saying, been plugging, the Be More Talkative podcast is back. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I can't wait for you guys to hear it, man.
Absolutely, and sportswireradio.org.
And Sportswire, yeah, that one, that's the big one. That's the most important one.
Well, I don't know about that, but I appreciate that. Thank you for the logo. Thank you for your hard work. Sir. And I look forward to hearing these shows. And I know the Tribal Cheese has talked to me about it. Coach, I'm giving you the floor, giving you some closing thoughts. I'm looking forward to more shows with you. Got me fired up. I know I'm going to see you Sunday night in the chat for Mr. Taylor because he's got a lot to say. I know that most people are going to tune into that. But let me give you the floor, Coach. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And fire away, my friend.
Speaking of your chats, I'm just reading something over here. Go and poke a shot at Omen. Some sort of comment about Craven being lucky to have a knuckle sandwich or a wet willy. I hope he's talking about Craven Rage. I hope he ain't coming at me like that. Omen knows better.
Well,
he better know better.
Well,
anyway,
I'm going to plead the fifth on that because there's two.
Off of that, on to with the way everything's going right now with these shows, like you said, everybody's excited and everything. And TBK, you're too excited to even sign off. Maybe for the WrestleMania season here, we need to do a Monday Night Raw follow up and a SmackDown.
Well, I tell you what.
That would be awesome.
Well, maybe Monday after Raw. If anybody's available after Raw, I could probably do a show after Raw. So if you want, because I actually am not on the air until. Actually, I'm not on the air at all. So
I'm available.
If anybody wants to talk after Raw, yeah, I'm willing to talk after Raw.
Yeah. As long as I'm available. As long as I ain't at work, I just think all this conversation, it's so much right now, and it's only going to get more and more as the weeks go on. Yeah. So I just figure,
Well, I hope you're available. It was your idea.
I agree with everybody. Like the wrestling world right now is flipped upside down and just spinning in a giant twister of everything, chaos, energy, passion. Like the fans are going nuts. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm excited to see where this goes. I hope this isn't just a flash in the pan kind of thing where we get this for a few months and then it goes back into the way it was for years. I hope this excitement continues for a while.
Oh, I think it is. I think right now wrestling is in. I think Jeff Jarrett said it best. It's in a boom period. I mean, I think right now wrestling blew out anything else on the table. And again, the Super Bowl. Again, I know these guys are going to tell me, and again, I'm not knocking the Super Bowl necessarily, but I mean, I think it's relevant almost to what we talk about here on Sportswire. But obviously, we'll look forward to seeing you, Coach. Again, maybe Monday night. So, guys, if you want to be available, I'd definitely be willing to talk. So, thank you. Thank you, Coach, for that. Thank you, C2K and Randy. I'm saving possibly the best for last. I don't want to get Coach too mad, but maybe the best for last. But good stuff as always, Randy. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? We definitely acknowledge you as also our Hall of Famer, and fire away, my friend.
Thanks, Tom. Great pleasure. C2K again. Congratulations on the honor. Looking forward to keep working with you. I know I usually pivot to hockey, but man, I don't know. The NHL doesn't compare what's going on unless Connor McDavid starts yapping at people. But I do have a hockey fan chat podcast coming out soon. We should get to you by next week, Tom. To talk about
I'm always looking.
New York Islanders.
So, well, they got a big win yesterday, and they're technically, quote unquote, in a playoff spot. But yeah, I always like your shows, which we want to check out, by the way, sportswireradio.org, because what I always liked about your shows, Randy, they're not like 3 hours long. They're like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So before I go on the air, I could sit there and go, oh, okay, let me re-listen to that point. Oh, it's a good point. So I always like your shows because you give me a nice little like 30, 40 minutes. So before I go on the air and I'm sitting there and I'm, figuring out how bad I could butcher somebody's intro on a show or, butcher somebody's name or butcher somebody's match, I could always take on you for, certainly the motivation.
Thanks, Tom. And then if you want to hear my opinion, hockey or wrestling, follow me on Twitter at Randy Dillon, DHILLON.
Excellent, gentlemen. What a fun show this was. Boy, I'm fired up. Yes, I could definitely keep going, but I got Justin here on the line, so I'm going to bring Justin on here. I'm sure I'll see Chris in a second, but fellas, maybe we'll do Monday nights. Yeah, maybe Monday nights could be a thing. I could probably do it going forward. So we'll see. And Coach, you're always up, so I'm sure I'll see you. And some of you guys point Sunday's show. And also, thank you, Ethan. Yes, I appreciate it. Well, Ethan, I'm not ending the show. I'm just talking football. So I know a lot of the wrestling guys are going to be like, okay, we're going south. But yes, we are talking Super Bowl. So if you want to hear a little bit of football talk, hang out with us. But if not, I'll be back tomorrow afternoon with the infamous Montana. But the big one is after the big game, James Taylor. That's going to be, I have a feeling people are going to be, they're going to tune into that one. I can promise you James Taylor is going to have a lot to say. And Coach knows James Taylor very well. So does TBK. He interviewed him. So, but great stuff. Obviously, fellas, I thank you for your support. I'm looking forward to, and yes, Craven Rage. Yes, is you as well. And, obviously, Coach, look mad at Craven Rage. Is something you got something to say to Craven Rage? You look bad at him right now. Oh, good. Okay, good enough. I just wanted to make sure everybody was happy. But
my comment was directed to Omen.
Oh, well, Omen, but we don't know who Omen was referring to, though. Let's cut Omen.
That's what I wanted to know.
Well, he's a busy man. It's his show. He's got to worry about, helping us get onto Endeavor and TKO. So
if it's his show, where's he at? He ain't been here.
He was in the comments. He's a busy man, Omen. Omen, listen.
He's fired. Omen. No, he's fired.
I'm the one that gets fired. He'll cancel me. You guys will stay on. But, guys, obviously.
Oh, wait, I know. I'm going to get on the board so I can coerce my way and then manipulate him out of the
Well, you know what? You could talk to Omen about that. I'm sure you guys can exchange phone numbers. You guys can have some fun with that.
He ain't been doing none of the cooking lately.
Well, I don't know how to cook. I'm sure you can. One more thing, by the way. Why didn't I see that photo of you and TBK together? Weren't you guys supposed to meet up?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
We never got a chance to actually.
I
was.
Oh, well, we'll save it for Monday's show. We'll see everybody Sunday here. Thank you, fellas. I'll see you soon. See you Monday night. Thank you, guys.
Come down here so we can get a picture for Tom.
I want to get tagged on Facebook, by the way, for the picture.
We will. We absolutely will. 100%.
Tag me on Facebook. No, seriously, I want to be tagged on that. Some people tag me on Facebook, and I'm like, seriously, stop tagging me. This one, I want to be tagged like 100 times over. So, all right, fellas, I'm going to let you run. Thank you so much. Let's go. I'm trying to find it. There we go. There we go. Justin Gianelli, you're up next. I know tough act to follow, but you're going to tell me about the big game, Justin. You're going to tell me why the Kansas City Chiefs, I assume, are going to win here. But good to be with you, my friend, once again. And let's talk about the big game. Certainly Chiefs, 49ers, and some of the things we're going to look for here and some keys to the game coming up here this Sunday night. Kickoff is about 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, great to be back on. We're getting ready for the big game on Sunday. Listen, the biggest key to the game for me is, will Chase Young step up for the 49ers? Because him and Nick Bosa have essentially been kind of non-existent in this postseason. And the 49ers pass rush and the 49ers run defense has really struggled to a point where we really haven't seen San Francisco struggle over the last number of years under Kyle Shanahan. You know, he gets a lot of credit for all the stuff he does with his offense, but really the 49ers are usually at the top of the pack in terms of defense, and they were for most of the year, but I feel like after the Chase Young trade, I think things kind of fell apart a little bit, and Chase Young has not played great. You know, and one of the things, just before we went on, I've been watching some of the all 22 film from all the passes Mahomes made against Baltimore, and my goodness, he had a clean pocket most every time. And if he's gonna have a clean pocket against San Francisco, it's gonna be lights out. I mean, Kansas City has the better defense in this game. You know, they'll have an opportunity to get to Brock Purdy and really disrupt that offense. So to me, the biggest keys are going to be the two biggest X factors for me are going to be Nick Bosa and Chase Young.
Fair enough here, Chris. Good to be with you. And I know we have a big liftoff Jets show that we're going to wind up playing here before the game. And I know I have it. I haven't got a chance to play it, but I always like to save you guys for before the big game. Good to be with you. So obviously talk to me about some of the keys here coming up in the big game. Obviously, Justin gave us some of the Chiefs. I know you and Sharma, I know, have no doubt covered this here like a fine-tooth comb and nail. But, give me some of your thoughts on the game and some of the keys.
Hey, Tom. What's up, Justin?
Hey,
yeah, you know what? It was funny. We actually brought up Chase Young because we were talking about him, and I said, I totally forgot that they traded for him because he's been totally quiet since they got him. So I don't know. I don't see him stepping up in the biggest game when he hasn't stepped up at all. I mean, I'd be shocked if he comes up big. Bosa, on the other hand, we've seen him come up big. I could definitely see that. And I totally agree with you. They have to get to Mahomes. I mean, even though Mahomes, he makes plays, on the run as well. So it's not like he's not good that way too. But I'd rather get him running than just sitting back and taking his time picking apart that defense. So, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a close game. But listen, I think the biggest thing, and we brought it up a couple of weeks ago with Lamar Jackson, right? He cannot win the big game, right? And he's got that monkey on his.
Yeah,
on
we
his
spoke
back
about that
now.
last week on the show. Yep, Lamar Jackson just can't win the big one. Yep.
And now we could, you could say the same thing about Kyle Shanahan, right? I mean, as the OC with the Falcons, choked there against the Patriots, and then a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl as the head coach with the 49ers. It's just until he wins the big game, that's going to be on his back. So this is a bit, and now guess what? Now you're looking on the other side to a guy who always wins the big game. Now you're looking at, the second part to the New England Patriots, right? Or the sequel to the Patriots dynasty. We're seeing that
well,
now.
to be the first one to repeat since 2003
against Kyle Shanahan 4 years ago.
Right, exactly. So it's
Super Bowl 54.
It's crazy when you think about it. I mean, the 49ers they're the favorites on top of that, which is crazy, but they're the favorites. And you also got, him, and then you got Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the draft and all that. And look what he's got to look on the other side of the field. Oh, I got to, not only do I have to win the biggest game of the year, I got to beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And
Let me ask you a
Spagnuolo.
question, though. It's
He's a great
interesting.
DC.
You said something, Justin, about Mahomes and his ability to get out of the pocket. And the 49ers, the quarterback, ironically, you brought up Lamar Jackson, Chris, where the 49ers maybe had their most trouble of the year was Lamar Jackson, that exact kind of quarterback in a way. Maybe it's certainly a different quarterback, and he's a lot more mobile these days than Mahomes. But is that maybe something you say, you know what, I go back to that game, Monday night, Christmas Day, Lamar Jackson, that type of quarterback in San Francisco, the way Baltimore played both sides of the ball, that's kind of maybe something you look at looking at that tape and say, that's why I kind of like Kansas City here in this matchup. Give me your thoughts.
And of course, Lamar Jackson is more known for his running ability than Mahomes is, but we know how Mahomes is making plays, making the plays off schedule. making the throw on the run, getting out of the pocket. But I mean, the biggest sign of trouble is if you go back to that Baltimore game, the number of clean pockets. I'm right now paused midway through this here, and he's got literally like 7 yards between him and the nearest defender. Like the offensive line just completely holds up, and guys are running free. Guys can't be running free, or else he's going to slice and dice them all day. And the Ravens really didn't make him run all that often because he had so many clean pockets. If Nick Bosa and Chase Young can make an impact and start getting him out on the run, of course he can still make the plays. But that's exactly what Tampa Bay used to beat him in Super Bowl 55. So that's where it really becomes a problem. So yeah, his running ability could create nightmares for this 49er defense. And this 49er defense right now doesn't know which way is up because they really didn't have to deal with the running effect of Jared Goff, but like Jared Goff diced them up, right? Jordan Love also kind of more like
it did okay.
More like Goff. He's going to stand in the pocket. I mean, Love will make a play on his feet if he needs to, more so than Goff.
I think Love is more mobile than Goff for sure.
Absolutely, but Love as a quarterback is more the Jared Goff type where he prefers to be that pocket passer.
Yeah.
But as a young quarterback, he's got the ability to, use his mobility when need be. Mahomes, we all know how he is able to make plays off schedule, out of the pocket, and make the ridiculous throw. So, I mean, it's a tall order. I mean, there really is no perfect defense for Patrick Mahomes.
And before I get to you, Ron Franklin, and Ron, you're wearing the wrong shirt. That was like 15 minutes ago. I would have given you the link. But that was funny. But I don't know who you are, but I thank you for tuning in. I don't really know you, but thank you for tuning in. If you want to follow us, give me a sub on YouTube while you're at it. But yes, today is Chinese New Year, and I wish you happiness and good health and interesting photo picture there, but I will give you a nice hello. Thank you for tuning in. And if you want to give us a sub, we're on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579. If you want to check us out on our internet radio station where you can hear shows like the Talking Rivals, the Liftoff Jets, and the Be More Talkative podcast, the Hockey Fan Chat, and others, we're on sportswireradio.org, where you can also check out our new Hall of Fame section with our newest member inducted, Mr. C2K. But Ron, how you doing? And he wants to chant, "We won, Cody." Well, unfortunately, you missed that show like 10 minutes ago, but thank you for tuning in. But that was 10 minutes ago. But I'll be back Monday after Raw, though, if you want that. So give me a sub, but I'll be talking Raw after Raw, 11 o'clock. So that'll be Monday. But thank you for that. But Ron, nice to be with you, my friend. Give me some thoughts on some keys of the game. Justin was giving us the Chiefs side. Chris was kind of talking a little bit about maybe some of the problems that the 49ers have had here of late and quarterbacks that kind of give them some trouble. Certainly a mobile quarterback, which Lamar Jackson was. We talked a little bit about Jordan Love just now. Jared Goff in the first half certainly gave them some problems, but he's definitely not a mobile quarterback. But for you, Ron, talk to me about some of the keys here in the game coming up this Sunday.
Well, I'm rooting for the Niners to win, but I think more keys is they're going to have to mainly keep giving the ball to McCaffrey, and because, when they played the Lions and they played us, they were coming back. It was like a comeback game. So if the Niners play the way they played us and the Lions, they're pretty much not going to win, because I don't see them coming back against the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs haven't had the best year. But, I mean, it's the Chiefs. So, they're like the new Patriots. We're going to see them in a lot more Super Bowls. And then I guess the Chiefs, just keep doing what they've been doing. But I think it's a bit more pressure on the Niners than it is the Chiefs.
Why do you say that for?
I think it's because a lot of people are saying, oh, the Chiefs are going to win. Brock Purdy's not better than Mahomes. I don't tend to listen to what people say most of the time. But me, I'm just rooting for the Niners. Whoever wins, and they get their rings. But, hopefully.
Go ahead, Justin. I was going to ask you a question.
I do tend to agree with him for a different reason, that there is more pressure on the 49ers in this game. Because the Chiefs have won 2 Super Bowls, and if they lose, I don't think it really takes a hit to the Mahomes-Reed legacy. Kyle Shanahan's got to win one at some point, right? You know, the 49ers have been consistent winners year after year and getting to the postseason, getting to number of championship games. Now, this is the 2nd Super Bowl in the Shanahan era. At some point, they got to win, right? The pressure is mounting for this franchise to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's been 30 years since they won
95, the last. 94, it's 95, yep.
Yeah, it was the 94 season, 95 Super Bowl. So it's been 30 years, right? And they've, ever since they hired, they had this like weird vortex where they got rid of, Harbaugh, they had a falling out with Trent Baalke, right? And then you had the Jim Tom Sula, the other coach that only lasted a year. It was Chip Kelly, actually, I think.
Yeah,
they went through like a weird stretch about a decade ago.
Singletary, right, was coached also at some point in there, right?
It was it was before Harbaugh, but yeah, the 2000s they weren't any good, right? After the 98 team, right? They fell apart. They had some injuries in 99 and made a couple of playoff appearances early 2000s. Yeah. But then they fell off.
Right period,
and then their rebirth really started with Jim Harbaugh. But after Harbaugh
dropped off.
But after Harbaugh left, they
dropped off.
The coaches. Then they ended up hiring Kyle Shanahan after the Super Bowl, like with the Atlanta Super Bowl, and they've been a consistent playoff team essentially. I think 1 or 2 years.
So it's they got 4 championship game appearances. This is their 2nd Super Bowl in 5 years. So other than the COVID year,
so they beat Green Bay the year they got to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
They lost to the Rams just a couple of years ago.
Lost to Philadelphia last year.
Lost to Philly last year, and last week they beat the Lions. So the pressure is mounting for Kyle Shanahan to win a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's a legacy moment for him, right?
So you say that the Chiefs
got to win the big game.
So the Chiefs, though, if they lose the Super Bowl, you don't look at their history in a different way. But the 49ers lose, you start to think about them in the way for a while we thought about the Dodgers in baseball for the last decade and the Astros to an extent, or anybody else that's been there that, they've been to 2 Super Bowls in 5 years, 4 championship games. That you can't quite compare them to the Buffalo Bills of 4 straight Super Bowls losing.
But also too, you got to remember. Well, look at the Astros. They went to 4 World Series and they were 2-2. So,
but winning the last World Series helped. That kind of put them
winning in 2022 did absolutely help that.
But the 49ers, you're looking at their run right now, and you're saying, you know what? Okay, how many more times do you get to the NFC Championship?
And not only that, they have the quarterback making dirt cheap NFL money, right?
Right, they have their window open now.
He's making $870,000. Now, I don't know. Patrick Mahomes is at a different stratosphere because he's making all the money. And we've seen the team get completely depleted, right? We always say, the Chiefs don't have enough this year. They're just not good enough. Well, as long as 15 is the quarterback, there's a very good chance they're going to be in the Super Bowl. It's as long as they have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I can never doubt the Kansas City Chiefs, even if they lose this game on Sunday. If the 49ers lose this game on Sunday, I start to wonder if Shanahan's ever going to win a Super Bowl.
You have a thought or two on that, Chris? You agree, disagree? What do you want to say?
No. You know what? The pressure just mounts every year that he gets there and he doesn't win it, right? So if he doesn't win it, And like Ron said, the pressure is on the 49ers more than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have done it already. They've won. Every time they win, it's like it's just getting them closer and closer to like the immortality of the Patriots. And Mahomes
we
getting
spoke about last week
Brady.
on the show, right? We talked about the fact that here are the quarterbacks that have won as starters, won 3 Super Bowls. Montana got 3, Bradshaw got 4, Brady got 3, and 7. He got more than 3, he had 7, and he lost 3. But Mahomes, if he wins, would now have 3. So you're putting him automatically right now in that strategy. And Troy Aikman won 3. You got 4 quarterbacks who've won 3 Super Bowls or more. Montana, Bradshaw, Aikman, and Brady. If Mahomes joins him, he's the fifth. I think Steve Young technically won 3, but really 2 is a backup.
The one against the Chargers.
I'm not going to count. Yeah, I'm not going to count that. But you got 4 quarterbacks who've won 3 as starters. Mahomes already becomes the 5th. So now we're looking at Mahomes. I mean, he's like in rarefied air, basically. If they
and I'll be honest, I didn't think anybody would catch Brady. But after this year, if after Sunday, if Mahomes and the Chiefs win another one, yeah, you could start thinking that.
Doesn't that conversely put pressure on Mahomes too to win? Because you know what, he's 28, right? So I mean,
I don't think pressure is a thing with him. Like I think he is so
he won the game already.
But isn't there a difference though of going 3-1 versus 2-2 in Super Bowls? Because you're talking about could he chase Brady, right? So if he's got 3 now, that gives him a leg up on getting there. You're talking about at least getting to 5, right? Because again,
Brady did start 3-0. In the Super Bowl.
And you know what? I don't know if that's putting pressure on him because it's like you're trying to catch the uncatchable. So you know what I mean? And you can't catch him this year.
Yeah.
Right? You can't catch
but you look at it realistically, how many more times do you just keep getting back to the mountain? There has to be a point in time.
He's been to the championship game every single year as a starter.
Yeah.
But eventually we have to think eventually. Well, we have to think eventually they won't get there, right? I mean, eventually, right?
I don't know if Mahomes thinks that way.
I understand that.
Right?
Of course he's not going to think that way.
This is scary to say. I think he's still getting better. As he gets older and wiser in the NFL, and
he's maturing,
and sees more things, I think he's getting better. So, and I know we've heard these BS rumors out there of Andy Reid retiring if they win the Super Bowl. Andy Reid, as long as he is physically capable, will not retire during Patrick Mahomes' prime. He will not. And guess what?
But you never know.
As long as Reid and Mahomes are a tag team, I have every reason to believe that they can make the Super Bowl every single year.
Well, I mean,
they're essentially proving it.
I mean, look, if Reid wins, and I'll let Ron have a thought on this in a second, but I mean, if Reid wins, he's got 3 Super Bowls. He's been to, 5?
5.
So you're looking at it realistically, why would you quit, especially when you got a quarterback who's not even technically reached his prime? So you can have at least 5 more. I don't know if Reid's going to coach 5 more years. I don't know what the timeline is, but
that would make him 70.
I mean,
it'd be tough. He's 65 years old.
Well, what did we see? Carroll and Belichick are 71 and 72.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, I mean, you can see another 5 more years. So maybe you get a chance to win 2 more. Let's say you win
he's
Sunday.
He's the healthiest, though, if you're looking at him, right?
No.
Like Carroll is he's probably in better shape than us, And he's
if I'm not mistaken, I think Belichick was like 47 or 48 when he took over the Patriots in 2000.
Yeah.
So he took over relatively. Remember, he was still a relatively young coach in the league because he coached the Browns in the mid '90s and was Jets defensive coordinator under Parcells during that time.
You got to think if he's 71 30 years ago, would have been 41. So that means that, when you got the job with the Patriots 25 years ago, you're 40, like you said, 47.
Yeah, 40. Yeah.
You have any thoughts on any of this, Ron? I mean, you're talking about the Chiefs and their destiny. You talked about the 49ers having more pressure and, you get this Chiefs here, Mahomes, if you're going to buy into the fact that Mahomes, and I'll talk about the spread in a second for the game, but, Mahomes has now this is his 4th Super Bowl appearance. He wins here. He's got 3. Got 3 wins, and you're looking at maybe Brady. And I talked to you about the quarterbacks who've won 3 or more as starters. You got Bradshaw got 4, Aikman got 3. You had 3 Super Bowl wins with Joe Montana. Steve Young technically got 3, but 1 really is a starter. And of course, the big one, the elephant in the room, Mr. Brady won 7, and he got to 10 Super Bowls, if I'm not mistaken. So, or 9 Super Bowls. It was 7 and 10, 7 out of 10, because he lost 1 with the Eagles. So you're talking about 10. Brady's in rarefied air, but do you think that if Mahomes wins, he can catch Brady, or does it matter, or what do you think?
I think if the Chiefs do win on Sunday, it is possible because, football has changed over the years. But I think it is possible, but there are some younger people that are, coming into the league now. I mean, think about it, the Lions have Jared Goff. They were close. The Ravens
have
were
Jordan Love, right? Lamar Jackson still can't win the big one. You got C.J. Stroud in Houston, certainly. I mean, We'll see what happens with Tua and the Dolphins. Speaking of people who can't win anything, that means worth one. Herbert with Harbaugh, that's going to be a very interesting situation. Josh Allen, another guy that can't win the big one. He's around. Burrow, I would think Burrow bounces back. He had some injuries. Bengals, you would think could come back here in the mountains. Yeah, you got some great quarterbacks, no question around the league. Then you've got that other guy. Speaking of people who ultimately can never win anything, Dak Prescott. I mean, so you got like so many quarterbacks, and okay, I give you that. I mean, Mahomes. Are you saying his window's closing, or what are you saying here?
No, I think it's possible for him to catch Brady. It'll just take some time and maybe some adjusting. Because if you think about it, when Brady was still around, most of the teams that are better or good now weren't good around Brady's time. So
yeah,
I mean,
I think the league there was definitely.
I think
less
the AFC is tougher, is what he's trying to say. I think.
Yeah.
The AFC
I
is
mean,
a lot
about
more-
So who are his main competition? You think about Pittsburgh with Big Ben, right? Indianapolis with Peyton Manning.
Baltimore was good. Baltimore had some good teams.
Peyton,
Baltimore
Peyton
definitely had some good
was
teams.
his major competition every year, right? You could put him in and Big Ben, right? Those were the two main guys.
Indianapolis into Denver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Into
After that, I don't know if there was many other.
Philip Rivers was okay. He had some good teams.
Yeah.
Because he took.
They were in the playoffs. You can't say they weren't.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was certainly very good the whole time. Pittsburgh was good the whole time.
Always.
Baltimore was pretty good most of the time. We mentioned the Colts. I mean, those would probably be the main teams. Unless I'm missing anybody. Chargers, I threw in there.
Not really. Yeah. I mean, the
Jets
AFC West. AFC West was great. He had to battle Oakland a little bit early in his career.
Jets couple
East was
championship
bad
games.
outside of
Yeah, Jets had some good years.
Couple
Like
years.
06,
We had the 2 good
09,
years.
10. They got to the championship game. Obviously, 10 was against the Patriots in the divisional.
Jacksonville went to a championship game. Houston had some good years. Houston was okay for a while.
Right. But think about, and I think that's what makes this more impressive from Patrick Mahomes, right? Think about the AFC gauntlet of quarterbacks, right? You got
Absolutely.
Josh Allen, you got Joe Burrow, you got
Herbert.
Lamar Jackson. I think you can now add CJ Stroud to that list.
Herbert.
Justin Herbert, and especially pairing him now with Jim Harbaugh. Absolutely. I mean, the gauntlet of quarterback. Hell,
and this year was his most.
And hell,
impressive,
we
I thought.
might not trust our team. But Aaron Rodgers is in the AFC as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if he's
got to play.
suits
That's
up.
all, right? He's got to
Let's see if he suits up. Let me ask you guys this question. Going over to the spread. We always do this here on the show, and the 49ers are 2-point favorites here, and it's 47.5 is the over under. I mean, obviously, we'll for what it anticipates, I'm sure we'll play it on our group, and Ron will come back in. I mean, so would you go over under? I know, Justin, you obviously got the Chiefs, and I think, Chris, you were kind of on the fence. I'm sure you and Sharman will talk a lot about this. Do you like the over, or do you like the under here in a matchup like this?
What was the number again?
47.5. The last time they played in 2020, well, 2019 to 20, I think he was 33-28 or something like that, or it was something around that range. It was definitely over 47. I mean, do you like 47.5? Do you like his over or under?
Over. Pretty easy, pretty comfortably.
Yeah. You know what? I love the Chiefs defense because they're gonna, but San Fran can get going. Like San Fran's offense is one of those offenses that once it gets going, it's like it's almost like it's like
well, in the Lion in the second half, though, the offense
it's like a musical because it's just they get into rhythm, and we could see that. But you could also see the first half where it didn't go so well, and I think the defense, Kansas City's defense, is much better than Detroit's, obviously. So I could see it going under, but you know what? I'll go over to 47. I could see like a 23, 23. Oh no, wait, 23-20 is 43. Yeah, that's actually a lot. You know what? Maybe I'll go lower because you know what? Kansas City, we were talking about it a little bit too, was Mahomes, like outside of Kelsey and maybe Rashid Rice, outside of those guys, who's beating you receiving wise on that team? Nobody.
Well, you can't expect, and I'm sure
they don't have the weapons that San Fran has. San Fran's got 4 incredible weapons on offense.
To his credit, Marquez Valdez-Scantling has stepped up in the postseason.
He's been solid, yeah.
He's been better, but do you really trust him? I don't. So other than Kelsey and Rice, it's really going to be Pacheco, and
Yeah,
how do they use
exactly.
Pacheco in the run game and in the passing game as well.
Yeah.
Ron, we were talking about the over-under at 47.5, and I'm not going to encourage you to bet, but if you were a betting man, Ron, do you like the over or do you like the under in a game like this?
I'm not even gonna try to lie, Tom. I don't get into betting, so I don't really understand the over and under.
So if you were to pick the score of the game, right? Obviously, if you picked, let's say, 23-20, or you picked like 28-24, would you like it where you think it'll be a shootout game? Do you think it'll be a defensive matchup because of Kansas City's defense? Do you think that San Francisco, because of how they can move down the field, like we saw in the second half against Detroit, or just overall through most of the year, that you feel like it'll be a game that'll be over, let's say, between the two teams, 47 points, which will indicate that it would be the over in this matchup? I mean, like, what do you see, like, in terms of those things? I'm not asking you to bet, but if you were to pick the score, how would you go off those things?
Well, so the score, I actually told a buddy of mine, I believe it'll be like 31-27 at the end.
So you would like the over then? That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, so I feel like, I hate to put the Niners down because I don't really dislike them, really, even though they took us out. But I have a feeling they're going to play just like they did with us in the Lions. So the Chiefs are going to start to, score points, and then the Niners are going to either creep up and either win it or come close and lose. So, I mean, me personally, we'll just have to see, but I feel like it's going to be the over. So it's going to be like sort of a blowout, but they might come back.
All right, but let me ask you, though, a question. You make an interesting point. We're talking here with Justin Gianelli, host of the Baseball Banter, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. Also, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer Chris Bazea from the Talking Rivals and the Liftoff Jets, and Ron Franklin, our analyst. He was a guest previously on the Be More Talkative podcast, and my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of World Wrestling Matters. I mean, to me, Kansas City has less targets, though, than San Francisco because, we know Kelsey, Mahomes is going to try to throw to him at least more than 10 times. Pacheco's come on late in the playoffs, and then you mentioned Rice, but he doesn't have Hill anymore. So you mean, like, Kansas City in a shootout doesn't help them, even though, yes, they've scored a little bit more, but the Baltimore game, they struggled offensively, especially toward the end of the first half of the rest of the game. And even the game against Miami, they didn't score many points. And sure, they scored points against Buffalo, but that was a matter of time of possession and such, which Kansas City, which we know time of possession and all their wins has been good. But I would think that the higher the game is offensively, it's advantage San Francisco because you're really talking about 2.5 targets that Kansas City has. Am I missing something here, fellas?
I mean, it's still Patrick Mahomes, though. I mean, it's still possible other guys step up, whether it is a Valdez-Scantling or whether it is who's the other receiver that I'm thinking of? The other
we mentioned Rice. We mentioned Rice.
Even McCole Hardman.
Good point.
Think about these two offenses, both the Niners and the Chiefs. We're going to see probably one of the more creative game plans on both offenses because you think about all the misdirections, right? The jet sweeps, the little jet sweep passes where they just toss it to the guy in the backfield, all the swing passes with the running backs. There's so many ways that both Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan get their best players out in space, and I think that's going to be make tackling of the utmost importance of this game, right? Guys are going to be getting the ball out in space with room to run, and who's going to miss more tackles in this game? Because if you're missing tackles in this game, that's when the chunk plays are going to come. Because it's one thing to just have Travis Kelce do a little 10-yard and he sits down in the middle of the field and gets open and Mahomes finds him, but it's going to be about even Clyde Edwards-Helaire as the backup running back, right? There's different ways to get guys into space. So, and I think on both sides, it could create an offensive explosion in this game. On that.
You have a thought or two on that, Chris, before I actually turn over to the Pro Football Hall of Fame before we move on to a few other thoughts.
You know what? I look at it this way. We're not even talking about him, but I think the most underrated aspect of Kansas City is their defensive coordinator, right? Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah.
Think about what this guy's done, right? With the Giants shutting down the Brady and
Twice,
the Patriots twice, winning here already with the Chiefs.
You know, this is a defense a couple years ago. I remember going on the air doing a show, and I think you were on the air with me, and we were talking about Kansas City's defense. It was the middle of the 2021 season. We were on the air on Sportswire, and we were talking about this Chiefs defense, and it was like they were giving up like 30-plus points, if I'm not mistaken, to like the Titans.
When he first got there,
yeah. We were like talking about like, you know, this team defensively, they can't win defensively, and they've completely remade this team to a team that, you know, can go out and win these kind of like, you know, grind them out games. And, you know, sure, they have Mahomes still, but it's a team that's, you know, not the team that won the early part of this dynasty. I mean, you got to give Spagnuolo all the credit in the world with that, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this year. Just look at the last game against the Ravens. I mean, that was like the best offense in the league, and they totally shut them down. So
didn't even have the ball much the first 36 minutes, like 26-10 at one point in time in possession. You know, you talk about
that's why I think the 49ers, and now you throw in, listen, I think Purdy he's a good quarterback. How good is he? You know, I don't know. I don't think he's elite, but he's definitely a good quarterback. He's more than a game manager. I know people call him a game manager. He's more than that. But you're putting him up against one of the best defensive coaches that we've seen in the past in the past decade or so. So that it's going to be really tough for them to get going against Spagnuolo's defense, especially how good they're playing.
It's the personnel too. The personnel on this Chiefs defense between Chris Jones and George Karlaftis.
Yep.
And then you have Willie Gay and Nick Bolton at linebacker. I mean, they really don't have a ton of weaknesses. And think about some of the big plays made by L'Jarius Sneed, right? He had that punch out of Zay Flowers at the goal line when the Chiefs recovered it in the end zone. You know, Justin Reed's been good. I mean, their secondary has been a strength of theirs. I mean, all three levels, really. The Chiefs are just in a groove right now. And a lot of that, to me, is credit to Steve Spagnuolo, but also, too, it's a credit to Brett Veach, the general manager. I mean, they really did a good job, especially, too, because you think about how their salary cap is structured. You got Patrick Mahomes making gobs and gobs of money.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, there's stuff that there's a little left.
A lot of draft picks on that defense, right? When you think about it, there's a lot of draft picks.
Yeah,
right. There's not many free agents.
They have drafted extremely well.
But that's how the teams we know that have been able to. But the teams in this league that have been able to continue to win had to draft. You know, the Steelers always drafted well, right? The Steelers, you know, New England, you know,
during their right, they had to draft well.
The Colts, when they run, you know, had Manning, but you still had to draft. So a part of it in this league is that, you know, but I want to come back to, you know, we'll come back to a few thoughts on the game before we start, but I want to talk about the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a few minutes, and obviously some other names that get big names. You know, Dwight Freeney finally gets in, Devin Hester. A lot of people definitely remember me, a very exciting, you know, returner, also did some receiving for a while. Andre Johnson gets in, Steve McMichael and Julius Peppers and Patrick Willis. I mean, so, you know, definitely some big names. You know, you guys have any thoughts on the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the inductees? And
there's a couple that I thought needed to get in and were obviously Antonio Gates. I still don't know how he didn't get in.
You guys were talking about that. Yep.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest tight ends. He's got the most touchdowns for tight ends. You know, as a tight end, he's got the most touchdowns of anybody at playing tight end.
Didn't he have some off the field problems, or am I missing him with somebody else? Is that maybe why he got?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I don't recall there being any issues.
But another guy who I thought should have gone in over Andre Johnson was Reggie Wayne for the Colts.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne. That's a great, excellent.
Listen, I'm not putting the guys that are in. You know, I don't want them out.
Reggie Wayne. I mean, what a long run he had. I mean, he had a long period of success. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah. I mean, Andre Johnson was great. You know, Patrick Willis had an 8-year career. You know, obviously injuries hurt him, but McMichael. You know, he was good. I don't know. I know. I'm the same way.
I'm like, I think Dwight Freeney should have got in. I definitely think that Dwight Freeney to me should have been a Hall of Fame.
And McMichael, I think, got a little bit of the, you know, because he's sick. And that's horrible. But they all deserve
on senior ballot.
I feel like I see where you're going. You know, Johnson. Yeah, he was. I would say what do you have 1,000+ catches? All right, yeah, I would agree with you. He's a Hall of Fame. Mongo McMichael, I'm kind of like on the fence with. I think he kind of certainly tailed off. I didn't watch him play personally, but I mean, I think Pepper should have been a Hall of Famer. I think that Timmy Pepper had a long career. I don't think there's any question about that. Yeah, Patrick Willis. I mean, he was a big player on those 49ers teams with Harbaugh, but I mean, his body of work was what? 7 years, right? 7 years, maybe.
7 or 8 years. Yeah.
To me, there's one massive omission, and I failed to understand why it's taken this guy so long to get into the Hall of Fame, and that's Torrey Holt. I don't understand.
Greatest show on turf.
I don't understand how Torrey Holt is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he was essentially a 1A, 1B with Isaac Bruce. They were dominant. Like when you watched Torrey Holt play, you knew you were watching a great receiver. And the years he had with Kurt Warner and even Mark Bulger after that. Mark Bulger
had a couple good years. Good point.
Before the injuries piled up on Bulger was very prolific offensively under the Mike Martz offense. And I mean, Martz is probably the reason why his career got cut short, but to be fair, but Torrey Holt, I mean, he's one of the greatest receivers that nobody talks about. I mean,
I think he had 6 or 7 Pro Bowls, right? 6 or 7 Pro Bowls, just under 1,000 catches, something like that. I think he had 1,000 yards, like 8 years in a row. I mean, Torrey Holt's a big omission for sure.
And if you go by the what is listed here on Pro Football Reference, they have an HOF monitor score.
And what's his score?
His score was 108.22, and Andre Johnson's was 91.91. It's not even close. And even to Chris's point about Reggie Wayne was 110.1. And both got, and neither of those two, Reggie Wayne or Torrey Holt, is it maybe because people looked at them as second fiddle? Like, you think about the Peyton Manning years, people thought about Marvin Harrison. And a lot of people,
but Reggie Wayne came in after him.
Bruce,
the only thing I'll say about the Rams run, and I don't know, the Football Hall of Fame is so different than the baseball. I'll let Ron have a thought on it. Is that in the Football Hall of Fame, you look at the Rams run, what did they win? Just the one Super Bowl? And the team aspect of it, what was their run really as a serious Super Bowl contender? What, 3 years, maybe 4?
Yeah, but
Andre Johnson had no run.
Well, but Andre Johnson won nothing.
Right, that's what I mean.
I don't know.
Torrey Holt played 11. Torrey Holt played 11 years in the league and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah, it was 8 in a row. I mean, listen, I agree. I'm just trying to parcel it out. What the league's
right? Like, what's the reason? Right?
What's the reason? I mean, Johnson. I agree with you. Listen, I think Holt should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Johnson.
Johnson does not have what Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt do. That's a Super Bowl title.
Right. The only thing I could think of is, didn't Johnson have like some really big years where there was like monster years? You kind of almost like
Listen,
3
he
or 4.
deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't, but
I don't mean to pile on Andre Johnson, because Andre Johnson was a tremendous receiver.
Yeah,
he really was. He had some. If we're being fair, Andre Johnson's best season was 1,598 yards.
Right.
In 2012. Torrey Holt's best year was 1,696.
And I think
Andre Johnson had 3 years of 1,500 yards receiving.
And that's probably why
Holt did 1,600 twice.
Yeah.
And Wayne, I think, was basically, I think he had more 1,000 yard seasons.
Reggie Wayne was Mr. Consistency.
Yeah.
And I think he ended his career still as a competent receiver. I mean, it wasn't like his career dropped off. I mean, he was he had some big numbers. I mean,
and I think Andre Johnson missed a lot of games too, didn't he? Didn't he have a couple of seasons where he was?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
2 years.
Reggie Wayne's last year, he had 800 yards receiving. That's not terrible.
That was my point. Listen, that was my point. To have 60+ catches, right? I mean, that's still pretty good. I mean, you're still confident. It wasn't like he fell off a rock. And Gates,
really?
I don't understand the Gates one. Gates one was either. And that was an era where there wasn't many tight end receivers.
He's a top, you're going to put Gronk first, Gonzalez,
Witten.
I'm going to put Gates over Witten, but I'll put Gates as like the fourth best at worst tight end of all time. And he's not in yet.
And Gates was just like for a period of time. He was just at the beginning. And he
Just
played
a consistent scorer.
When did he
too.
play?
I mean,
15 years, something like that. 15.
Yeah,
something like
16
that,
seasons. Yep.
There you go. That's my point.
and he
You have a
scored the
thought?
most touchdowns for a tight end.
Oh, listen,
Yes.
Gates was like
That should
was
get him
automatic.
in automatically, but
Before I get to TBK, you ever thought to any of this, Ron? You have thoughts on the Hall of Fame, or not really locked into it?
I'll say, I didn't really pay attention to it. I did see, though, someone from the Packers got into the Hall of Fame. I forgot what their name was, though.
You talking about with not Dwight Freeney didn't play for the Packers, right? Am I getting mixed up here?
I don't
Somebody
think so.
Was Julius
Yeah,
Peppers played for the
forgot what
Packers?
their
Julius
name was.
Peppers. That's it. That was Julius Peppers.
He
It-
briefly
Yeah.
played for the
For a
Packers
short
at the
time,
end.
yeah.
All right.
But,
yeah.
other than that, I didn't pay it no mind.
Okay, fair enough.
What do we think about Devin Hester? I mean, I know he's a unique player because his stats really won't jump off the page
No.
except for being a return specialist.
He's getting in because of the multi-position. He was a multi-position player.
He got in because of the kick returning and the punt returning.
Yeah,
That
well,
was-
he was multi-position.
That was it. Yeah, I just
and
think
you know what makes him what makes him look better now is the fact that kickoffs barely exist these days.
yeah, he might be
You're
the
never gonna listen.
Yeah.
You have to put Hester in because you're never gonna see another Devin Hester. Guys just don't return
And he was like,
kicks and punts like
I just
he
hope-
used to.
I just hope this opens the door for more special team players to get in because they
Sure.
they deserve it. Kickers, punters, guys like like Hester, returners, guys like Steve Tasker should be in. They
Steve
were
Tasker,
great.
I mean, played for a long time too.
The
Well,
guy
how
that
about-
just retired for the Patriots,
Matthew Slater.
right? I mean, these
Listen,
guys should be in the Hall of Fame.
his numbers are not going to jump out at you because there's not
No.
really many stats on there. But if you think about his impact towards the Patriots for all these years, he was there for like 18 years.
Yeah,
You think about his impact, the number of Super Bowls he won, the role he played as a special teams captain. I mean, listen, special teams is important. Whether you are the kicker, the punter, or you play a role on special, you just play a big role on special teams.
I mean, listen, what was Hester's really run as a great player? 6 years? I would say multi-purpose, right? 6.
About that.
as a returner, yeah, and as a receiver, running back, whatever. He wasn't. Yeah,
It was like a
he's in because
wheel.
of his returning. That's it.
Yes.
I mean, I would take it or leave it. I got to be honest. I'm taking it or leave it. But I mean, I understand why he's in because he's a multi-purpose player. He got in because he kicked off. He was he changed the game with that. Offensively, other than that, I mean, TBK would like to say, damn, did MetLife start handing out Mahomes jerseys so Jets fans would finally be able to experience what it's like to cheer for someone at the quarterback position? Hashtag all aboard the wagon. So that's what he's
Wow.
talking about here when it comes
Wow.
to
Take a shot at me. What? Taking
I
a
think
shot
he's
at me or
definitely
something?
taking a shot at you, Justin.
Hey, listen.
Well, Jet fans haven't won much. I mean, it's been tough, Mahomes,
haven't won much.
Jets,
Shouldn't TBK should get it? He should get one too because I mean his quarterback hasn't won anything either.
Yeah, right. Was he? What?
I'm just
Lamar
saying.
Jackson done?
Just saying.
Well, okay. Well, the Ravens definitely didn't win this year. No question, the Ravens didn't win.
Just saying.
Obviously, there's only 2 teams that so far are in the big game, right? It's only the Chiefs and the 49ers. So these are the
Exactly.
teams that are
But
only in there.
here's the difference.
Shoot.
Here's the difference. I would not blame Jared Goff for that loss on Sunday to the 49ers. I do blame Lamar Jackson for that loss because I think Lamar Jackson's the reason why they lost that game.
Lamar did. The Ravens did not show up, man.
Right?
They didn't
But
show up.
So you
Lamar
saying the
Jackson was
Ravens
horrible in that
are you saying the Ravens beat themselves, whether it was Lamar Jackson and
Well, think
that-
about it. They had 2 turnovers in the end zone. L'Jarius Sneed punched out Zay Flowers going towards the goal line.
Yep.
And Lamar Jackson with a horrendous interception in the end zone. And then another horrendous interception when they were down 10. He's trying to force the ball into triple coverage. I mean,
He was out there playing like Dak Prescott.
for whatever reason, Todd Monken got the best out of Lamar Jackson this season just to revert back in the championship game. And
I just think there's a
he
lot of
didn't
pressure
use
on that
his
kid
legs
now.
either.
You could see though the way he played in that championship game. He played very timid when he was in the pocket. He didn't know if he should run or not.
Why was he not using his legs? His biggest.
I don't know. Something was up. You could tell that's it's that monkey on your back, man.
Yep.
He knows it. He knows
it's tough. I mean, listen, quarterbacks, I think Josh Allen's going to be dealing a lot with that now because he's a guy also gotten back there a number of different times. And we saw, we spoke about Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers never won the big one. Dan Marino never won the big one. Steve Young finally got over it. He did win the one, but a lot of quarterbacks, haven't been able to win the big one. There's plenty of quarterbacks in history. Dan Fouts, right? He didn't win the big one. I mean, Dan Fouts was a great quarterback too. Didn't win. I mean, Warren Moon was a good quarterback.
Eli Manning's going to be on the Hall of Fame ballot.
You think Eli Manning gets into the Hall of Fame?
I think he does. I mean,
listen,
definitely.
Yeah,
he did beat Brady twice.
I mean, those two Super Bowl runs were amazing.
Outside of those runs, and Eli Manning was a huge reason for it.
He's what they call, if you took away the 2 Super Bowl wins, he's what they call a stat compiler.
He's an average quarterback without those 2 wins. But those 2 wins were that special.
Well, I think 2 Super Bowls. I mean, how many quarterbacks have 2? I mean, right? Peyton won 2, but he won 2.
2 Super Bowl MVPs as well, right?
He won 2. John Elway won 2, right? So John Elway won 2. Eli won 2. I'm trying to think.
But John Elway, outside of those 2, he was.
John Elway. And John Elway got to a number of other Super Bowls.
Right? Yeah, he was a great quarterback.
By the way, do we know that?
And Roethlisberger won 2, right? Didn't Roethlisberger
Yes, Roethlisberger won 2. By the way, do we know the pressure Brock Purdy's facing on Sunday?
No, tell me before I get to TBK.
The last 17 quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl debut have never got back.
Wow. Is that all? So who was the last one to get back? I'm trying to think who would be the last one.
Probably Elway, honestly.
Right, Elway back to back, like 86.
Elway lost like 3 Super Bowls before that.
Well, didn't Jim Kelly get back?
Oh wait, what about?
But he never won.
No, he lost. No, he won his first.
But that was before. But that was
before. You're talking about getting back to a Super Bowl.
Getting back to a Super Bowl. So Jalen Hurts obviously is still playing. Jared Goff has not gotten back. Joe Burrow yet has not gotten back. Well,
I mean, Kelly got to 4. He obviously lost 4. He got back.
That was in the 90s.
That's
Elway had gotten back.
And Favre won his first one, right?
Against the Yes, he did. Right. He was 1-1. Russell Wilson's 1-1.
Yeah,
Cam Newton lost, never got back.
Well, technically, I don't know if they count this or not, but Drew Bledsoe technically, or do they count him as getting back actually? Because he was the Patriots quarterback in '96.
But that was also before. That was also before Elway got back.
Right. So I don't know where they count Drew Bledsoe because he won a Super Bowl, but he wasn't the starting quarterback. Do they count?
Yeah, that? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you're going to count that. Here's another stat I heard the other day on the radio.
Steve McNair obviously got to 1 and didn't get back either. That's another quarterback that kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Kyle Shanahan is 1, and I think they said 32 in games where his teams are down 7-0 going into the fourth quarter.
7-0 point blank.
No, down by 7.
Oh, okay.
Down by at least 7 points.
Wow, 1 in 32.
By the way, here's the answer.
All right, give me the answer.
Hurts, Burrow, Garoppolo, Goff, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, Rex Grossman, Matt Hasselbeck.
Rex Grossman, oh my God.
Donovan McNabb, Jake Delhomme, Rich Gannon, Kerry Collins.
Not many big names, though. We're talking about here.
McNair, Chris Chandler. Bledsoe does count because he was not the starter.
That was my one.
Neil O'Donnell and
Dan Humphries.
Dan Humphries of the Chargers.
All right.
And most of those names, I would say Matt Ryan was good. Right,
he's probably a Hall of Famer.
Very good.
Donovan McNabb was very good, I would say, for decent.
Forever.
McNabb was good. I don't know if he was as long as McNabb was.
No, but he was good.
It was a shorter run for McNair, but McNair was exciting.
Kerry Collins was not great.
Kerry Collins was serviceable.
Yeah,
serviceable. Rex Grossman sucked.
Gannon was good. Gannon was good. He had some big years.
Gannon,
at the end,
Gannon, the second half of his career was very good. It would say, okay, I'll give you that. You mentioned Bledsoe. Bledsoe was
a
very
good,
good.
long-time serviceable starter.
But we're only
Yeah,
talking about
Hasselbeck was good. Hasselbeck
out of
was
all
good.
that whole list, she's only talking about maybe one Hall of Famer.
Matt Ryan, probably, right?
Yeah, I think, right? The
Yeah.
rest are we're talking
Donovan
about
McNabb
28-3.
not gonna get in. Drew Bledsoe's not getting in.
No.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, McNabb would be the only one I would think about. I would think about putting him in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, it's like, but he has a lot of postseason success, but I don't know.
Yeah,
if it
the only one that's close is Matt Ryan.
Championship games. It's a 5
Yeah.
championship games.
4 or
I mean,
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good run. I don't think he's a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer
no.
though. Yeah,
I
none of
don't
those
think so either.
quarterbacks. Yeah, I would say Matt Ryan's a Hall of Famer. Statistically speaking, Matt Ryan to me is a Hall of Famer.
He's got
The
big
rest
time
of the-
numbers.
The rest of those names, you know, Bledsoe was a stack compiler though. I don't know if I'd say Hall of Famer. Zach Wilson will only ever be known for how much his fans want him gone. Big shots fired. My quarterback is relevant though, and yes, blame Lamar for totally
In the regular
abandoning the
season, at
run and
least.
not doing Monken's job as well as his own. Make it make sense, meaning make it make sense for his team. Yeah, I mean, look, the Ravens
I
are going to have to
agree.
come back. They're going to have to come back.
I mean, I guess Baltimore is not a winning team or like a winning city. I guess. I mean, look
You
at
can't say
Philly.
they're not a
You know,
winning
they
city.
lost.
I mean, they've won 2 Super Bowls in their history.
Yeah.
You can't say they're not a winning
Yeah,
No,
team.
they're
they
a really
won.
good
They won.
team. The Ravens are a very good team.
Well,
They
listen.
just-
If you told me the Baltimore Ravens are in the AFC Championship game next year, I would not be surprised.
Oh,
But
they
at the
should
same
be, I
time, it's hard to trust Lamar winning a big game at this point because, like you said, Tom, he was timid. He, for whatever reason, he didn't use his best skill set, and the Chiefs took advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah, Chiefs defense. I mean, again, whether it was coaching or whether it
I-
was,
I'm
I
gonna-
mean,
I'm going to give him a break because this is the first year that I think he took the next step to being a really good passer. Right. So
Oh, for sure.
let's see how
No,
let's
absolutely.
see how he, reacts next.
and he's
for
still likely
this
going to be
season
a
coming up.
2-time. And to be fair, he's still going to likely be a 2-time MVP. I mean,
Right.
still
He's
guy,
got- yeah.
going to be a 2-time
He's
MVP.
got that already,
I
yeah.
mean, he's going to come back, and he's still a 2-time MVP. And you look at the
Yeah.
AFC. I mean,
And it was well deserved that he won this year. Absolutely.
and look, I think at the end of the day, Baltimore is going to be back. I think Baltimore, if you look at the AFC, okay, maybe Burrow comes back for sure. Pittsburgh's got for sure some quarterback questions. I mean, they've definitely got questions.
Their
Watson,
biggest-
I would think comes back with Cleveland. So Cleveland would be okay.
To me, their biggest challenge will be Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, because also too, Joe Burrow's the guy that has proven he could beat Mahomes in the playoffs.
Listen, and they were 9-8 with injuries, with him not playing the last
Yeah,
third
with
of the
Jake Browning starting like the last 6 games
Yeah.
of the season.
So you
And
think
we're
that
forgetting,
Cincinnati?
though, we're forgetting Cleveland. Like, what if Deshaun Watson
Watson, yeah.
reverts back to what
I
he
have
was?
a
with
hard
the
time
Texans?
trusting. Listen,
what
I'm
if
not
he
the only one
does?
who. Listen, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one in many ways who doesn't trust Deshaun Watson. If you know, what
I
mean.
agree. I agree.
But
No, he's got
on
issues.
the field, I don't think he's on the field. I think he's a little overrated, Deshaun Watson.
Well, I think there's one point here before I get to one more comment from TBK, and we'll go around just and get a quick Chiefs 49ers. I think Justin's got the Chiefs, and we'll go around just for the fun of it. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, the AFC's got a lot of teams that could certainly win or be competitive. Where the NFC, as we said, got a lot of questions. I mean, San Francisco, yes, we got them, but everybody else, Green Bay should be back,
It's
right?
San Francisco, Detroit. What
Green
is-
Bay,
what-
Green Bay could be back.
I think Green Bay too. Because they were a young
They'll
team.
be good, but like they're not like upper tier. Like,
Minnesota's
like,
a question mark. Chicago's a question
like I said
mark.
to you,
No
I said to
quarterback.
you, I think 2 weeks ago when we talked about the conference championship games, the only team that can knock on the door of the upper tier and I think challenge those 2 top teams to me is the Rams. Because I don't trust I don't trust the Cowboys. I don't know what the hell they
No, I
are.
mean, speaking of people that never win, I mean, people are talking about the Ravens, the Cowboys. I mean,
The Cowboys
know,
always get the hype during the before the season. They're always like,
well, they
this
have
is
3
their
straight
year.
It's our
seasons of 12
year.
wins or more. 3 straight seasons of 12 wins or more in that frame have 1 playoff win.
Yeah.
He won 36 games the last 3 years. and you have one playoff win. I think you've won the most games in the league the last 3 years and have one playoff win.
Yeah, and if you're asking me who do I trust more, whether it's McCarthy Prescott or McVay and Stafford, give me McVay.
Stafford McVay.
He's a proven winner, you know.
McVay's won a Super Bowl, took a team that was really not supposed to be anywhere, got him into the postseason. Yeah, he's done a good job. So yeah, I agree with you on that. Refs took advantage of it, but we aren't ready for that convo. All right. So we'll just do it just for the fun of it. This is the last game of the season. We'll certainly talk about it 2 weeks from now because we're actually preempted next because we're actually covering our first ever wrestling match live on the air. But we're going to be back here the following. We're going to give preseason baseball, getting into the football off season. We'll get into all that stuff. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be back next week with a first ever live wrestling match on the station. So excited about that.
You'll be able to watch the match on the screen or no?
No, we're actually going to be able to watch the match on the screen. Believe it or not, we're actually going to be able to. Yep, we're going to watch the match on the screen. We're going to stream it live on the air, and I'm going to do such a bad job on it that they're going to never want me to stream one of these matches live on the air again. I promise you. So
I think you're going to do a great job. What is it? What wrestling?
So it's going to be, we have the IMF who we work with, the guy Soldier GP Omenbat. They come on here, and a company that we just inducted into our Hall of Fame, their champion from DKW on his birthday, nonetheless, Combat Joe, a.k.a. Joe Stone. So I'm going to call the match between Joe Stone and Freddie Daniels. I don't have a time yet to be exact, but I'll have that during the week. But we're going to be preempted on the next Friday. But after that, we're going to be here the rest of the Friday. So every Friday afterwards, we're going to be back because baseball's starting up. We're going to have, obviously, preseason to get into.
Here's the big question. Will Blake Snell be signed by then, by our next airing?
Well, for his sake, I hope he is.
I'm going to tell you what. I'm saying no.
Bellinger's still not signed.
Who would want him at this point?
Pitchers are catching. Like, I saw a video today of Yamamoto and Ohtani in Dodger camp, and Kershaw met the media today, even though he's not going to pitch half the year. But it's crazy how some of these guys are just not signed.
I never seen it. It was bad a few years ago with Machado and Harper, but nothing like this where you got a lot of but
that was late January. It's mid-February almost.
No, I tell you, listen. I mean, February. We're actually now in the second.
What, Thursday for everybody?
Thursday,
Wednesday? Thursday, Friday usually.
I think it's you might be right. You know, because I thought it was the 13th, but it might be the 15th. You're right.
And I think the Dodgers and Padres are ready because they have the earlier.
Yeah, they went yesterday. I was listening to that on the radio. Yeah, I mean, so
they're already together.
You know, I think that we'll have a lot to talk about. I'm looking forward to Rob Maraska. We'll be back. Rob was on assignment. He'll be with us, so we'll have the full gang and we'll get you ready. We'll talk. We'll talk baseball. Obviously, Randy and TBK will lead us in, but after that, we're going to be each week here on Sportswire. So I'm excited about that. But let's get to the Chiefs 49ers picks. Ron, Chiefs 49ers. I think you already said it anyway, but one more time, real quick. Who do you got? Chiefs or 49ers?
I'm picking 49ers, but whoever wins. If it's not Green Bay, I don't care, but I'm picking the Niners.
For you, Chris, and I know I'm looking forward to playing the show right before the big game, but obviously, who do you got, Chiefs or 49ers?
You know what? I'm until a team
beats them,
shows you differently. You got to go with who wins, right? I like Kansas City. I think the pressure is going to be a little too much for Purdy. In his first Super Bowl, and like Justin said, maybe he won't come back after this one. So I think Kansas City wins. I'll say 23-16.
Oh, it's a good pick. Good pick. I know for you, Justin, you already said it, but I'll let you say it before I go pick. And Chiefs 49ers.
So you guys already know that the final score has been determined, right? We saw that in training camp, right? With O's the mentalist.
Well, what was it again?
When McCall Hardman said 31-21.
Right.
Well, who thought back then that it wouldn't be the Jets and he'd be on the Chiefs? So give me the Chiefs.
Like the Will Smith baseball thing, yeah. Well,
if it comes out 31-21, that's going to be.
And here come the Chiefs. So give me the Chiefs 31. 49ers 21. I just don't know that Brock Purdy's. I think Brock Purdy will play okay, but like the guys that I mentioned on that Kansas City defense, I think they're going to really disrupt some things. I think the San Francisco offensive line's been a little bit vulnerable which makes it much better for Chris Jones and guys like George Karlaftis. And like we talked about earlier, Steve Spagnuolo is arguably one of the best big game defensive coordinators there is. And I think he steps up to the plate again. So give me the Chiefs, 31-21.
Because everybody picked the Chiefs, I'm going with the 49ers, but I do have a reason. I think McCaffrey and Kittle are going to be tough for the Chiefs defense to be able to contain, and I just think that for whatever reason, that's going to be a big part of it. I also think Deebo Samuel has a big game, and, something tells me here that, the 49ers are going to be more prepared than they were against the Detroit and Green Bay games, and I could certainly see why people are going with Kansas City because, again, the experience. Also, San Francisco was not impressive at home, but this is technically a rematch, and usually these games don't tend to go the same way, but just because everybody picked somebody that's similar, I'm going to go with San Francisco. But again, I hope it's a great game. I'm looking forward to talking about it here 2 weeks from now, obviously talking about baseball. And we're not that far away from warmer weather. We're less than 6 weeks now from spring. It's almost getting dark now. It's 6 o'clock, so things are getting better. It was 50-plus degrees here in New York. I'm sure, Ron, by you, it's a lot warmer, so we're getting there.
Weather was nice today.
Beautiful day. The weekend's supposed to be pretty nice, so I'm looking forward to it.
And quick, who do we got for MVP?
Mahomes.
I'm going McCaffrey. I'm going
McCaffrey.
I'm gonna say Isaiah Pacheco.
That's a good one.
That's
a good one, especially after the Ravens game. That's a good one. Kind of under the radar pick.
And also too, if you watch the way David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs ran the ball, and if you watched the way Aaron Jones chewed him up in the divisional round, their run defense is very vulnerable of San Francisco. Yeah. And I think it could get to the point where Kansas City kind of leans on it a little bit in the second half.
It's a good point. That's definitely well stated, well said.
So I'll take Pacheco.
I'm going to miss the football season. My brother was talking about the other day. He's like, football's really over. And, he's depressed about it. I think we're all depressed about it. It's been a lot of fun, but definitely baseball. I think it's time to talk some baseball. A lot to talk about here. I think there'll be some promise with both teams, more so on the Bronx end. And obviously, Ron's got his Phillies, I'm sure we'll talk about. And he's getting ready for race season next week. So a lot to get into here. And we'll have Rob Maraska back. He's ready chomping at the bit, and he'll be back on assignment. But closing thoughts, Ron Franklin, you're up first. Anything you want to plug, share, or say? And always good to be with you. I'm looking forward to seeing you 2 weeks from now, but the floor is yours until then.
Tom, it's always, a pleasure being here with you guys. I'll plug in. Instagram is at ron.frm215. I'm always active on it every day. Mostly posting wrestling, football stuff. And since NASCAR is going to be coming up, I'll be posting more NASCAR stuff most likely next week. Looking forward to, the road to WrestleMania. I know I'm not getting up at 4:30 in the morning to watch Elimination Chamber. It's good to know that, Cody actually picked Roman, that we're not getting. I mean, I didn't mind the Rock.
Why didn't you pop on the stream? I gave you the link. I even sent it to you. You could have popped on. Why?
I was going to, but I'm like, I'm going to give it to the guys because, I was actually going to say some stuff, but, I didn't want to.
I was like, Ron, I gave you the link. I was like, where are you, Ron? I was like, we're kind of waiting for you. You should have popped in on that. But, maybe you join us. I have a show after Raw. Maybe if you want to pop in, you're up to. I know you work, but yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people are gonna not stay up for Australia, but you never know. But good stuff. But I know you'll be looking forward to NASCAR next week. Obviously, that's going to be people are excited about that, and I know you'll be as well. And I thank you as always, Ron. Anything else you want to say before I let you go? Anything else?
One quick thing. Damn, I lost it too. Looking forward to WrestleMania, and as I always say, I finished with Go Pack Go, and hopefully things go well next week at Daytona, and it's always a pleasure being here with you guys and talking
I appreciate
football.
that. You're doing a great job, Ron. I really thank you for being a part of the streams. You've been, always, asking me how's things going. Always been very, communicative, and that might one day lead you into the Hall of Fame, joining these guys. So keep doing what you're doing, and they'll probably see you, with your certificate up there soon. So keep up the good work, and look forward to inducting you maybe, in a few months. So keep an eye on it.
Yeah,
All right, good work,
Tom.
Ron. Absolutely. And Chris, want to give you the floor. Speaking of Hall of Famers, want to give you the floor, and anything else you want to plug, share, or say. And I am going to get on your show very soon. I'm going to figure that out probably in the next month, probably after the season, but I'll have some free time coming up in a few weeks. So I look forward to that. But in the meantime, let me give you the floor, and anything else you want to plug, share, say. I'm looking forward to playing the Liftoff Jets. I have it here for the weekend to play, and have some really great shows we're going to play, and you guys are a part of it. And I shared Sharman's picture of him in the city, and that was a nice picture he shared on Twitter. And I'm going to give it to you now for closing thoughts, and fire away.
Tom, thank you very much. Justin, great show as always. Yeah, we're going to get into it on Monday, probably a little bit more baseball. Obviously, Patrick and myself. Hopefully some moves are going to happen this weekend.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know.
I gotta say, I said it on the show. The reason why wrestling went lower, because I can't get excited about Clayton Kershaw re-signing with the Dodgers.
And I don't understand. You still got Chapman out there. You still got Montgomery,
Bellinger, yeah,
Bellinger. It's ridiculous. But we'll see. I did see something about Boston, and I'm sure Patrick will be talking about it too. Boston might be trading their closer to possibly Philly. What's his name? What's the Boston closer?
Oh, Kenley Jansen.
Kenley Jansen. They might be moving him.
Talk about it on the show. I heard you guys talk about it.
Yeah, and then in turn they might sign Montgomery, because Montgomery and Texas don't look like they're connecting anymore. So, so we'll be getting into that.
Martinez is out there with the Mets. There's some chatter about that.
Yeah,
Turner
that
signed with the
makes
Blue
sense.
Jays.
I like that move for the Mets. Why not?
These are like
right. I know what
the season was a dud. It was like boring.
But I think they did enough to stay competitive, try to get that last wild card. I think they got a shot. You know what?
No, I think the Mets can be competitive, but my general point was this was Major League Baseball offseason was totally boring.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
It was
boring.
Yeah,
it sucked. It was like, football, you get excited about the draft. You get a couple of free agents here.
I agree.
But the NBA always has something.
They got to do something. I don't know what they could do. Like put a time frame on it. Where it opened. Have a door. I don't know. So
horrendous.
We'll and then we'll wrap up the Super Bowl on probably Wednesday or Tuesday with Sharman on Liftoff Jets, and then we'll get into the offseason, like you said earlier. With the Jets and the draft and everything. So we'll be breaking that down every week. So hit me up on Twitter, CP7NY. You could also follow the shows, Talking Rivals, Liftoff Jets, and I'm also on Instagram as well, CP7NY.
Yes, and you're on Threads. I try to share sometimes on Threads. I see you on all these platforms, and I try my best to put it out there. We get some clips. People get a lot of views on those. So at the very least, if they don't tune in, I put them out there that way because, at least if people don't tune into the radio, they can at least have the clip on Twitter or they get the clip on Threads. Especially on Twitter, we get like hundreds of views sometimes on them. Sometimes you get people they want to click on it. So we do that for people to give them a chance, free of charge. We put people out here on the radio. So if anybody ever wants to get involved, they're always welcome. And we have some new shows. TBK's back with us. We have another podcast that just joined us. So we have some, new shows out there. I just did a podcast last night, inducted into our Hall of Fame, the Sit Down Marks, our longest running podcast on the station. So great stuff in the works. And I'm sure Justin, the baseball band, will be back in the rotation as baseball starts in about 6 or 7 weeks from now. But until then, your closing thoughts, let you have the floor, fire away, and be my guest.
Thanks, Tom. Chris, another great show. Ron as well. I think he already signed off. But listen, obviously, nothing bigger than the Super Bowl here on Sunday. But I think we covered as much as we can. Like Chris said, I'm just dying for some guys to sign. At this point, I don't care.
I'll be honest with you, poor Rob Maraska. I'm like, he was on assignment. I'm like, Rob, I can't give you 15 minutes on baseball right now.
And there's really nothing of significance this week either. So it's like,
no,
I mean, and maybe this is good for the Mets because the price probably continuing to fall
You
for
know what? You
JD
bring
for
in a
JD
JD
Martinez.
Martinez at
And
the
if you put
target that they
Martinez,
talked about. Yeah.
and you could either put Martinez fifth behind Alonso, or hell, if he blossoms into a more consistent power hitter, have Francisco Alvarez 5, JD Martinez 6. All of a sudden, that's a hell of a lineup.
No, you know what? If you get Martinez, with Diaz back, you hope McNeil bound. We talk about it all the time. The Mets could
Yeah, for
certainly
sure.
be back to competitive. So yeah, they could
So
be
I
all right.
mean, we'll see what happens with these other free agents. Another thing I'm watching this weekend is it's one of my favorite events of the year. It's the Waste Management Phoenix Open in golf, the PGA Tour. And the reason why I like this, if you've ever seen the 16th hole at TPC Scottsdale, it's a stadium style seating. It's one of its kind. Golf is a very quiet, polite type sport, right?
Yeah,
you don't think of loud roaring cheers, but you get that rare atmosphere. It's a par 3, 16th tee. It's about 220 or so yards to the flag, and it really makes for exciting golf. And the 16th is really a place where you can make or break in this tournament. And we're a little bit behind because the weather kind of got suspended.
I know the West Coast has been dealing with a lot of rain over
there. Yeah, and which makes for softer greens, which actually could lead to some lower scores. And right now you have a relatively unknown player, Andrew Novak, who is 12 under leading. The biggest name at the top of the leaderboard is Scotty Scheffler. He's 8 under. Justin Thomas is 8 under. But they're still in round 2, which will start early tomorrow. But should be an exciting weekend. And what's great about that is it'll lead right into the Super Bowl on Sunday. So it'll be a great.
Yeah, that was always golf. That's right. That game would always go into the Super Bowl. Correct.
I think about last year. You had the Waste Management Phoenix Open and the Super Bowl on the same day because it was Glendale, Arizona.
Right. Yeah. That's
so it was
that's
all
a good point.
Everything all colliding in Arizona last year. But that's really what I'm watching for this weekend. Aside from maybe some NBA here and there, the NHL, Devils are sputtering. I don't think they can get out.
I know
of
Randy is going to have a podcast that he's airing next week. We'll play it on the station. He's talking the locals, the 3 local teams. We'll see. Yeah, Islanders are. At the NHL, the Islanders
it's a little
bit
better since Patrick Waugh took over.
Yeah, games in hand.
They look like a more disciplined bunch.
Yeah,
I
just don't feel like I never felt. And Chris, you probably could speak to this more as you both could more as an Islanders fan. They kind of lack the discipline and toughness under.
He lost a lot of games in overtime.
That Patrick Waugh is not going to let slide.
Well, look, you got a lot of games left. Certainly Devils have games in hand. This games in hand will come into play. Devils have, I think, 3 on hand, 2 on hand on the Islanders. Penguins have 2.
It's still only like 4 points out, so it's like all they got to do is get on a little winning streak. And Jack Hughes came back last night, looked good too.
Neil was talking about it last week before the.
Are you guys going to the Stadium Series at all or no?
That's too expensive.
Well, I'll be on Sportzwire Radio. You think I'm not going to go? I want to be on live. Somebody made a joke.
Yeah.
No, somebody made a joke. It was like, I always see you live. I'm like, yeah, I've done about 120 something shows in like 98 days. And I took a little bit of a break this week. So yeah, I won't. I guarantee. Although one of my friends actually is a butcher, and here on Staten Island in my neighborhood, he's actually going I think he's going next week. He's actually going to the game. He's going to go.
That's awesome.
I was speaking to him. Yeah, he was really excited about it. I ran into him like, oh, how you doing?
So nice this weekend, right? Because of the weather. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Well, what is it going to be next week? Imagine if next week is like
I think it's about 40. I think they had like 39 was the forecast.
Oh, that's not bad.
30.
That's not hard.
I think I saw something where it's likely that the real field temperature is going to be 13 degrees at face-off.
Is it really next week?
The night game.
Wow.
It's an 8 o'clock game or 7 o'clock game.
Oh yeah, the Devils. Yeah, that's right. Why did they make that game at 8 o'clock though?
Because they wanted one game to be primetime Saturday night, the next game like
Network.
mid-afternoon on Sunday.
Aren't these games normally during the day? Like,
not since I think Turner and ABC got the
The
package.
Oh, that's
Winter
wild.
Classic is always during the day because it's New Year's Day.
right?
But the Stadium Series
But the
generally at night.
package,
Yeah, night.
but the package, I think since Turner got it with ESPN,
Oh, they
they
put it
made
on.
they
prime
flipped
time.
it over. Yeah, so I mean, which we'll
All
touch
right.
upon in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll touch upon the streaming deals. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I would love to have gone, but yeah, I mean, I think it would be 28 at puck drop or something. I mean,
Yeah, it's gonna
you're
be
right.
cold.
Oof.
No, ain't that much longer. Listen, we're February. It's not January now.
right. I know you said it.
We're
Right?
getting
Couple
there.
more
I
weeks.
That's it. We're only 6 more weeks, less than 6 more weeks of winter. The clocks
Yep.
go back on the 13th, so we'll a little less than that. So we'll talk about all that here. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'll be back here at 4:00 with the infamous Montana, then right after the big game with James Taylor. These guys will be back here in 2 weeks from now. And until then, we're here with Justin Gianelli, the baseball banter, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer, Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer Chris Bizet of the Liftoff Jets and the Talking Rivals. I want to thank Randy Dillon, our other Hall of Famer, new Hall of Famer C2K, Coach Chris Craven of the Hall of Famer, Ron Franklin here, and my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, also TBK of the Be More Talkative podcast. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. If you're on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, I'll be back tomorrow and after the big game. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station that is Sports Wire Radio.